Hi, everyone. Today we're going to cover what school never taught you about money, the five financial traps keeping most people stuck. Let's jump into the presentation. Into slideshow. What school never taught you about money, the five financial traps keeping most people stuck by me, Michael Granados, a business architect. And for those wondering, what's a business architect? What do you do? Why should I care to listen to you? So again, for those wondering what that title role is all about that you see on screen, I use that term and that role because I've always been fascinated by how systems work together, how they're placed, deconstructed, built up, tear down, whether it's for personal finances, cash flow, business growth, financing, real estate, operations, investment opportunities for different vehicles to invest in, or for longer term wealth building. I've always found myself looking at the most bigger picture and asking how all of the pieces fit together. In many ways, that's exactly what an architect does. It doesn't necessarily mean that they're putting an actual physical building together, that they're deconstructing it, that they're site planning it, getting the architectural blueprint for it, not necessarily in those terms and that description. A business architect focuses on the blueprint. And that's how I've approached both business and financial decision making throughout my career. Over the next 30 to 45 minutes or so, we're going to talk about something that impacts every single one of us. It's even more important now than ever when you look at the economy, where the markets are, the affordability, and so much going on right now that's keeping people stuck and wanting to know, what can I do to get out of this situation? Not just temporarily, longer term. I'm tired of the short term methods, techniques, tactics. What can I do that's evergreen and everlasting? So, over the next 30 to 45 minutes or so, we're going to talk about something that impacts every single one of us. Again, but unfortunately, it's rarely taught in school, and it wasn't taught to me when I was going up through high school and even onward when I went into college. Not to say you couldn't take classes, certain ones, but once you're in the real world, the applied principles, the science and the art to things, and plenty more. So, what's rarely taught in school is money, not from this super hyper speed perspective or a hyper perspective at that. Little or more to it. Not from this get rich quick perspective, but from a practical, real world perspective. So, my goal today is to help you understand some of the financial traps that keep many people stuck and to give you a simple framework for thinking differently about your financial future. I've struggled. I know many of the problems that go on, not just what we see, but what we're thinking of before it happens. And I'll be sharing and shedding light to that today. Let's go to the next slide. Here's what will be covered today and what you will learn and be able to walk away with. We're going to talk about why income alone doesn't create wealth, why cash flow matters, why do taxes matter, why does retirement planning matter, how the financial system fits together and everything. A simple financial literacy roadmap for you to have and say, yes, now I have something of a way to go down in this direction and doing this correctly so I can have much more longer term and be able to have that freedom, growth, and wealth alongside. Those are the three that are very important and those subject matters. Why does this matter? So, the reason all of this matters in its entirety is because most people were never taught these concepts. Most people were never taught money at all. And that money is for bad and not good. And those who have so much of it look down on us and all of this stuff that goes on out there. And we were just not consciously and subconsciously programmed correctly for many of us. Most people learn through trial and error. Financial mistakes can cost years, not just days, weeks, months, a year. We're speaking years. And it happens in advance and it's accelerated throughout our lives. And it's put there by past beliefs. It can come from parenting, guardians, from past educators. And it can also mean that someone or a group did not educate correctly or thoroughly, cover concepts and things that are up to date. Financial literacy helps you make better decisions at the end of the day. Savings versus making, what you set aside on the personal and business side. And so many people spend decades figuring out things they could have learned much earlier if they had access to the right information. Which brings me to my story. I have a financial logistics background. Besides going to school and getting my business degree, I was a chemical engineering student, chemistry being my favorite class. I'm a science guy. That's what's in my heart, it's in my mind. I love being in the lab, looking at equations, mathematics, calculus. I love all that. And before I got into the business side, that's what I was doing as a chemical engineering student and major, with chemistry again being my favorite class. And like many of us, if you were ever put in that position in college or before and you change what your preferred favorite subject matter is, or you realize something because you got to go through something to figure out what you really want. When you're set with what you have from the very beginning in life, that doesn't mean it's what you ultimately want. You have to go out there and explore, experiment over and over and over and over. Now explore. You found what you want. Explore it. Well-rounded, took many classes in college, an academic, Division I soccer player, too. A lot of people I would believe would say I'm a very nice and kind person, very introverted, the analytical, cerebral type, not one to talk for words. I'm the doer, the behind the scenes operator, helping and making things move. So, again, a financial logistics background, have a business degree, years of trial and error took so much out of me that I had to go through just to get through and figure out what were my personal finance mistakes. How do I learn this in a structured, more systematic way? Order of operations, daily methods of operation. What should I be doing day to day? What do I look at in my account? What line items? What do I track more closely and efficiently? It's all about efficiency in this. And I didn't have that in the very beginning. School, soccer, that was my path as the older brother of two. If you can see closely on the right hand side, I have My parents, my younger brother, were usually 6.5, 7 years apart. And right there is my nephew, my younger brother's son, baby Luca. Underneath there is a picture of me with a smallmouth bass in my hand. I was so happy to catch so recently. I had a family come down, excuse me, from California. I'm in Washington State. I lived in Orange County, California. I was born. Fountain Valley, lived there. 2003, moved up to Washington State, went back there for school, worked over there, came back here, worked, found my way through. And so there's a smallmouth bass on the palm of my hand and the other one gripping it underneath it. And just very happy that day. And behind is my uncle sitting down, the fishing rod, you can see to the bottom right. Very happy that day. And then on the left, you just see me there with my hand up at my desk. See the seat behind it. I have a lot of books behind. You can kind of tell from the edge there. I do read a lot. I don't know if you can see right now at the bottom right of your screen where you see me, but right now I have books that I'm holding up. I love to read. I love to fish. I love listening to rock music. All types of genre. I'm a very simple, non-materialistic person. Old soul at heart. I really am. And I treat everyone like they're my family. And if there's one weakness to me, it's that I care too much. I'm a Libra. I'm the harmony seeker. I want balance, common ground, not debating. We waste more energy and time, and it's not as we look for efficiency and just bringing people together and being the peacemaker. And although that is one of my greatest weaknesses, is that I care too much, but I also know when I'm going over or under, and emotional control, I have that. And over 13 plus years time in business with multiple companies formed, so much that I've done to help in the private equity, private debt space, investors, crypto, looking at all markets, economics. I follow a lot of things. I'm very quietly behind the scenes, thinking a lot in my head, reviewing data, numbers, spreadsheets for clients who need funding too at a high level. Been doing a lot in different niches. It just grew. You focus and you grow. But I've had a lot of years of trial and error, like I said. It wasn't easy from the very beginning. Like I said, mentioning on the personal finance side alone, forget the business side. I would attribute what I've learned on the personal side because I built a business. I'm being very honest with you guys that if you haven't started a business, that is one of the biggest reliefs you will ever have in your life and self-independence than what the government, what that, like you being strapped down by what everybody else wants you to do and not ever going in your own direction and learning finance and financial literacy is what holds a lot of not just people back, but business owners back. And I've seen many businesses of all shapes and sizes. Been in this long enough. How you use the funds for the service, short cash flow conversion, cash conversion cycles, liquidating inventory, different uses for equipment, short and large term gap and needs. What's the right funding service and type? Numbers, ROI, net free cash flow, all these kinds of things. I didn't understand that when I first got started, so you don't have to either. So it was very much a lot of years of trial and error, looking everywhere online to figure out, can I get a mentor? I do need somebody that can help me sort out my personal finances. And it wasn't easy. And went through one thing after the next, one program after the next, and it just wasn't enough for me to figure it out on my own. I needed some hand holding. I needed somebody who had the knowledge, the expertise, who's been through this, who's seen a lot and understands the path forward, not just in the present we live for, but in the future. We look at the past and we look at what we need to shape, and we need to change your beliefs about things. And that's what holds us back. And from pursuing and having confidence, by taking action, you have confidence. That's a result of it. That's an outcome. That's an output to get an outcome. So years of trial and error, went through things on my own, tried to figure it out. And in starting a business, that was that was a journey of its own. And discovering who I was in the process, it wasn't all easy. That right there took a lot of effort. So, learning through mistakes, discovering financial literacy helping others improve financial decision making. And so, my question to you is, have you ever felt like you were doing everything you were supposed to, but you still weren't getting ahead financially, personal and or business, or which soon to be in the future will apply to you? I for sure know that I have. And as I mentioned, for most of my life, I believe what many people believed: work hard, get a good education, a great one, exceptional, get a stable job position, stay in that job for so long, get your social security, pension, retirement, do this with your 401k, da 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 da. Build equity if you're getting equity from the company, how you're getting compensated, if that's the kind of company you're associated with. Jump from one thing to the next. If you're unsatisfied and unhappy, go find your true skills and talents and all this and what makes you happy in your environment, because truly a lot of that is just not going to make you happy. It isn't, because something in the back of your mind, if you're anything and anyone like me, there's something there. You haven't even maybe brought it up recently, but it is in there. And it's just clawing at you to tell you, do it. Go. It's saying it, and you don't have to say it out loud, but it is there. So get a stable job, save money. Everything will eventually work out. And you get to hear that too from the people that are closest and those that are around you. Yeah, like they're applauding you. You gotta, where did they come from? Do you ever pause, stop to think that? And while there is truth in that advice with getting a stable job, save money, everything will work out, get a good education, work hard, I eventually realized there was a missing piece, a component to this. Nobody had really taught me how money works. No one. Nada, zip. My parents, uh, save. Michael, save. Sally, is that the only advice you're taking? There's a part to that, but there's so much more that comes before that, that you have to be prepared before you start saving in advance. So, quick question. As I said, not a one for words, not a talker. It takes a lot of courage for me to do this. And you can imagine, if I've been in business for over 13 plus years, I know a lot when it comes to personal finances and taking care of that on my own. I practice what I preach. I'm not here telling you something because I haven't done it myself, that I haven't seen someone else do it, and things like that. So rest assured, you have someone who knows what they're doing when it comes to the personal and business side with financial literacy and plenty more. So, again, quick question: how many of you in here were ever taught cash flow? Do you know what discounted cash flow looks like when you apply it? Net free cash flow, investment financial cash flow, contribution margin, how that affects your cash flow, fixed versus variables, not just gross and net revenue, what you make at the end of the month. You have a 9 to 5 and or in a business, not just optimizing for what you make every single month and not just only what you keep, what you're able to also set aside, not just for emergency, but also to invest and reinvest. When should you reinvest into what you're doing versus investing into a new opportunity? There's so much more out there that you have to understand and be more exposed to. Otherwise, you keep coming back to the same place you were. So, cash flow, taxes, retirement planning, asset protection. Well, I get a online service to do my taxes. I have a CPA who does it for me. I do my own. Mm, mm, mm. Go beyond that. Most people weren't ever taught any of that. I studied chemical engineering, like I said. I love problem solving, systems, mathematics. Later, getting on, like I said there, and you see, for my business degree, because I wanted to better understand how businesses operate and how decisions are made. I had a huge interest in it. Just didn't know in what direction in business. So over the years, I also had worked construction in the actual field position, manufacturing field position on the machine for an aerospace company. Then I got into the blueprint room looking at dimensional analysis, doing moldings and castings and making sure that the tooling would fit. And it was right in dimensional analysis, looking at blueprints and things like that. I've been in warehousing. I've been a ramp agent in airport operations. Logistics is another one, as I mentioned, financial logistics, dispatching, and around corporate environments. Working hard physically, I know what that looks like. I'm better mentally. Like I said, a cerebral. I'm a thinker. I'm not the talker. I'm the guy who I need to write things, systems, processes. I need to look at things. I need to create them and put numbers on paper, review documents, financials, P&Ls, balance sheets, bank statements is another, credit reports. I do those things because I'm very analytical. That stimulates my mind and my brain. I need to do that in my morning for hours. That's how I'm productive. So having done that, being in dispatching, an administrative role for a courier company, a lot of these positions I didn't want to be in, but sometimes you have to do what you have to do. And that was in my younger 20s to then the financial logistics position for a huge contracting company, lifting some media boxes to deliver. On the computer, data, budgeting, spreadsheets, inventory, underpaid, undervalued. Stayed there for stability reasons post academics. Thought I'd be able to move up a role. Supervisor would retire. Didn't happen. And there's a transition, downturn, over 50 plus people relieved. Unfortunately, I'm one of them. I have to go back on unemployment benefits and food stamp cards. Again, you're someone who has an education, who could have gone somewhere else, stay there for stability to build up experience so that I could take that somewhere else. Had the experience, I had the education. I could say somewhat the career as I was unfolding could have been better, but I still felt something was missing. I just kept asking myself, I kept figuring out the answers to it, but it took me a little bit of time. Why does financial stability to me feel so far away? Does it feel like this to everyone? Does it ever get any better? Does it ever get any closer? Why do so many hardworking people still struggle financially? Why does it seem that many hardworking people still struggle financially? And I'm not just saying blue collar, I'm speaking white collar. I've been on both sides of the table. From a Salvadorian Mexican American family, my dad is from El Salvador. My mom, Fresno. Grandma from Guadalajara, Mexico. I'm from Orange County, California. Moved up to Washington State in 2003, like I said. I love it up here, the greenery, the scenes, it's everything. Went up here, still got started 5th grade in elementary, then made my way into middle school, high school, and so forth. And I love it out here. Fishing, like I said, is one of my favorite things. Just sitting out there, not catching a fish, is one of the best feelings in the world. Is just sitting and just standing and looking out. That's life right there. And taking that in and being patient and delaying instant gratification. So there I was asking myself all of these questions as I'm going through this. And I'm still here at this position too. Before I was relieved of my duties, like many others were, just relieved, let go, budget constraints, and so much more happening. And before that ever happened, I'm here like asking, can it get better? What can I do differently? Did I need another job, career? I didn't want to just jump into something else. I didn't want to go in that direction. But life forced me to ask those questions even harder, because when you're in a position like that and one that I was in, what do you do? You're put to a corner. That's where the pressure comes. And that's where you think of everything that you do for yourself. And then you think about others. And then you think about the circumstances is, do I want to go back to who I am and what I am now, and that's how I want to identify myself as? Or do I want to make a change finally? And this is the pressure that I've been needing, but I've been putting it off because it's happened to me before. I've been put in a corner. I just never did anything about it because it's happened to me. And if that's happening to you right now, I know the exact situation you're in, and it infuriates me. It runs a electric shockwave down my brain right now and my leg that I just felt because I care, and I care to help you understand financial literacy. And I've seen it on both sides. On the personal business side, business owners don't know a bit when it comes to the financial literacy side. And I see it so much when I help them. And I also build detailed project budgets, proposals, investment plans and opportunities, pro formas, business plans, etc. So I see a lot of this. So after that whole component where the company was acquired, a transition, a downturn, more than 50 employees plus were relieved from different departments. We're in a 3-story building. I'm at the very bottom of a dungeonous looking area. I kid you not. And so I was one of them. So I found myself unemployed. I found myself back on unemployment benefits. Like I said, I found myself on using an EBT card. I remember standing in a grocery store. I won't say the name. I frequent there because of my EBT and what food supply they had available at that time. I remember standing in the grocery store line when you're walking and you have the cart. I'd be one of those who would try not to have too much in my cart so I can get out of there quick so I don't have to wait too long in line, and then wait while they're checking out my products. I'd get in and out of there as fast as I could, hoping nobody I knew would see me, and just anybody, any stranger that would see me and think something of me because I'm there with my EBT card. I remember feeling grateful and thankful that I was able to at least get groceries, hoping nobody would be in front and behind me in line. Sure, wouldn't look at the person at the register at their eyes because it was hard for me a lot of the time. Sometimes I would, but it was very hard. And so feeling very grateful and thankful though that the help was there. They were helping me so I can get groceries, so I can go home, go to my place and be able to supply myself for a limited time of groceries until I have to come back and face the reality of it again because the thought of it came back. Walking out of there, feeling embarrassed, grateful and thankful as ever, but I have to come back. So that was the thought that was going back through my mind. And I don't know if you've ever been in that position or something like that with anything hard. It's you can't move. You almost feel paralyzed. Going to have a family meal and I couldn't cover anything or just a small part. Other times I wouldn't speak up. I'm the oldest of two. Remember that. That's very hard. I had to lead the path in my family in school and so forth. And so I set that path and I loved that I had to do that. And that was for me. And I put that on me to do that. That I'm going to continue, make light of this. And so that was very difficult. And at times when I wouldn't speak up, it was most difficult. And I felt like a burden to my family, even though they wouldn't tell you that. It's what it felt like to me. So because of a lot of this and these experiences, they changed me. They made me more grateful. They made me see something that a lot of people may have not gone through themselves to get to this point. And you don't have to always go through a lot of this. Because for the first time, I realized the problem wasn't simply that I needed to get another job, like I said. What the primary constraint and biggest problem to this, the major problem, the one we diagnosed, not just cover it with symptoms, was that nobody had ever really taught me financial literacy and about money. Not just making more money. How do you appropriately make more money? How do you keep more of the money you make? Why do you work so hard but never have enough left over? You work so hard but you don't have enough crumbs. It goes out as quickly as it comes in. Outflows versus inflows, inflows versus outflows. Nobody taught me debt elimination and strategies. From what format, from what way do I look at it, and which one do I start with first? Because there's a science to that and doing it correctly. And then what most people believe should be done. Nobody taught me the retirement planning. Nobody taught me asset protection, let alone getting assets, real world assets. Now we're on chain. So we're dealing with a lot of blockchain, AI, crypto, which I'm also in that space. In case you wanted to know, I've been in various niches, starting in online space, which I'll get to here momentarily, and I'll cover those bits. Nobody taught me tax strategy, doing it correctly, how to get set up right, protection of assets, trust, all this stuff that we do need. Different types of trust, business, personal. What are we doing exactly? What's the plan and goal? Know me. Nobody taught me about entities and in building business entities and how to structure it correctly. How should you start and then grow? What's your goal? Is it to raise funds? Who are you raising funds from? What type of business? NICS code, NAICS code. What are the steps to getting business credit ready so you can make sure your business is going right? And so that way it can feed your personal side too and take a salary. What about owner's contribution, distribution? What are all of these terms and topics and how do I do them? Nobody taught me how successful people think about financial literacy, about cash flow, and again, how to make money and what does that actually mean, and asking the right questions to how to make money. Nobody was teaching me how the financial system actually worked because that's what we're not taught. We want to be taught. Be a nice working citizen and feed the government. Keep giving them your taxes, and keep supplying them, and you have little nothing left over. And now, in case you didn't know this, at the time of me making this video, at the very least, a lot of taxpayers' dollars are not going to be used to build structures. There's a lot to pay down debt and feed into the global supply of debt. So it could be more people who are investors who want to buy into bonds, stocks here in the US, treasuries, notes, securities, bonds. Did you know any of that? Perhaps. To how much did you know? I follow these markets a lot. And I'm very close with big investors, multi-billion-dollar investors and groups, economics professors, people in the markets, and more. Myself and with them and the help and understanding and on my own doing things and what I'm doing and seeing all of this that's happening and taking place and shaping. So nobody really taught that. And I realized though I wasn't alone. I knew I wasn't alone, and you know that you aren't alone. But that's what we feel very comfortable in is, well, if not just me, the group out there is a huge consensus of a population or sample population in my area that don't know I'm happy. I mean, if they don't know it, why should I? Why do I need to care about knowing financial literacy? See, that's the wrong mindset. And that comes down to a mindset problem. That's a strengthening of the mind that needs to be focused on. Personal growth and development, self-mastery, which is something I also have many years of experience in. Business, that subject, personal growth and development, self-mastery, helping people on real estate, in real estate sides of the equation, investment opportunities, understanding the markets, where they should go and capitalize, and what's in their best interest, because everyone has something different and everybody's somewhere right now where they want to get to. So millions of people are hardworking, intelligent, capable people, but they were never given the education, the plan, the blueprint they needed to make confident financial decisions. That's why I became passionate about financial literacy and everything that entails it. Not because I think I know everything. There's still a lot that I'm learning and applying to what I've learned. Oh, here's another angle to look at this as. So I should take a look at that insight and see what I can do to add to what I'm existingly doing. I could be doing something wrong or not. It's just, that just further confirmed what I was doing right. Oh, I got to change this. There's another method Here's another model to what I need to do in my business, in my personal life. Okay, great. The more that I have ready, the less that I have to go looking for it when I need it the most. So those are the decisions that I said earlier make most sense is when you're pre-evaluating, you're pre-diagnosing something before it's happened or it has happened, you just don't want it to again. And if it did happen again, you would be ready. You wouldn't have to be here on your table or wherever you were at the moment. Oh, something came up. I got to go get that thing. I should have read that book a little bit longer. And I left early in the day to be able to go do something. And I didn't set time away for myself, the energy and time. And to look at myself and know what I need to do and make a change. Because when I did that, that's what ultimately changed everything. Is my perspective. And like I said earlier, I learned a lot through when I was going into business. That's what really helped me shape everything. Not that you need to start there, but it makes a huge difference when you really start looking at where you're doing wrong, what beliefs you have, changing that subconscious and conscious mind, and understanding that we have a preset of beliefs, that we have these values because of been presented with this, we've experienced them, so this is what it must be, and therefore it is true, and it is the only way. It must be, it is or it is not. It is right or it is wrong. There's neither nor. It just is. And until you realize that you were put here to create, you were given, look at all this, all opportunities are around us, and it's for us to go out there and create them. Not for some higher power. And that's in faith and spirituality, and that's in the strengthening of the mind and building the callous and the mental toughness that comes through all of this and shapes you to become ultimately the person you want to become with your values, your vision, your mission, your morals, your ethics, your governing principles, your purpose, your character, and your characteristic traits. And that's an everyday with habits and routines, and that I do and practice what I preach every single day to be the best human being so I can show up for you and be the best that I can. And that doesn't mean my words. That means in what I do and I show you. But today, you hear me, and I'm showing. So not because I think I know everything, not because I'm a financial guru. I'm not one of these out there like, hey, just come in and check this out. And cool, you're good on your own. Yeah. And then out there just trying to get you in, and the way they talk, they're conversationalists. I'm not. I like I said, many years of experience in business. It gets you out of your comfort zone, and I still do things every day that are on my comfort zone, like this is. But that's where you find growth, is when you get out of your comfort zone, you make mistakes, like you've heard a little bit earlier with my words, my lips. Get that word. That's okay. Keep going. But because I know what it's like to feel lost, broken financially, and I mean broken, like accounts not there, disappearing, like, oh, I couldn't make the payment on this bill, utilities, oh, I got to downsize, I got to look at the alternative cost, the opportunity cost, what are the economies of scale, all these things that are just simple that you don't even need to learn them in an economics class, mathematics class to understand common sense. And negative accounts, not sufficient funds, negative days. I've been there, done that. If you have too, then you would understand. If you haven't, not that you have to be in that position. I won't say, then place yourself in that position. I'm kidding. Well, everything has a story and everyone has a story. What's yours? I know what it's like to work hard and still feel stuck. And I know how powerful it can be when you finally begin to understand how money, cash flow, taxes, retirement, investing, and wealth building actually work together, coincide. And that's what today's workshop we're continuing forward with in a second is. I know we spend a lot of energy on this side of it, but I really wanted you to grasp this and understand, and you get to walk away with something that this is truly meaningful to you. And I hope it's resonating in one way and or another. No getting rich overnight, no financial hype, like I said, super hype or just hype in general. Not shortcuts, cookie cutter ways that I can just, well, give me the recipe and I'll go do it. Oh, well, I got to bake the cake and you're asking me I need these ingredients? Olvídate means equals forget about it. Olvídate equals forget about it. Just understanding some of the financial traps that keep many people stuck for years and how to start thinking differently. And that's what I like to do is help people in thinking differently, not just applying the science and the art, the numbers. It's the critical thinking skills that'll get you beyond where you are at the moment. And they're helping others improve financial decision making. And you got to see those above: discovering financial literacy, learning through mistakes, years of trial and error, business degree, financial logistics background. And realizing that, hey, before my time was up at the financial logistics position, I was getting reached out to a friend while I was having lunch, an old friend that responded to my teriyaki meal. And I'm at the 3-story building at the very bottom in a dungeness looking area. Again, I kid you not. Above me is a very bright yet dim light. Excuse me, let's go back. And below me is a brown floor with cracks going in different directions, looking like it would open up and a black hole would open up and I would get sucked right in. The lighting looked like I was in an interrogation room. Somebody would come in and put their hands on the table and ask me, where were you on the night of? So we're chatting on the Snapchat social media app, and he's bringing concepts back fresh into my mind about digital business, marketing, e-commerce. They just hadn't come back up to my mind. And so it was until later that day when I got home, I couldn't rush to my car in my Honda beat up Accord by the sun beating down, because before that I was in California and the hood of it just beat down on the paint. Every light I went through literally was green, like it was a sign from up above. I park, I get out, I walk up the stairs, put the key into the door. It goes in quickly. It opens. I set down my backpack that's just hanging off of my left shoulder, my black Janssen backpack. I kid you not, still have it. Don't use it anymore. And I sat in front of my stair steps. I gingerly walked around the corner. I lock eyes with my kitchen. On my countertop is the laptop I had from the morning. I was looking at a few things, researching, trying to do something different, etc. And then I put it on my dining table, which I turned about 45 degrees, set it there. And like a lot of us do is we begin to research. And that's what spurred everything in my journey online, building businesses, helping others build their business, building websites, funnels, email marketing, a lot of different things, strategizing overall as a strategist, starting in the digital marketing agency space. Then I built into lead generation, then in the health space as well. Then I went, after years there, into the CRM space, software as a service, and many tools and other sorts. And then I went into the financial space. Excuse me. I was thinking of my background here, where I was before. So yeah, financial side, funding, went into the funding side very heavily. And that's just my journey in over 13 plus years now. So let me go ahead and switch slides. So in this one, income does not create wealth by itself. In another way to say it is, income is not wealth. I know when I was young, if you can relate, is, man, that person has a lot of money. They must be very wealthy. It's what you do with what you have and where you put it and what returns you're looking for, or yield, in other words, in what it would cost you not to have that income, that revenue generated, that cash flow available and readily available. So high income does not automatically create wealth. Professional athletes, they can go broke. Haven't you seen it? Don't you hear it in the latest news out there? Whenever I do, I think financial literacy. They could use that. Not to say they hadn't, or they're up there. And they're at the end of the day, people will make bad decisions. Because is it a thing about lifestyle feeding you from your business, and you should look at things differently and think differently about this? Lottery winners can go broke. Do you guys see the TV shows? Anybody? And how you see the lottery winners? Not saying that they do, all of them do, or anything like that. Do you understand taxes on what they're getting taxed or tax bracket? How much has to go where? Do they have a business? Is it a C Corp, an S Corp, an LLC, a family member LLC, single member LLC, sole proprietorship 1040 versus an 1120, an S elect? Do you guys understand those concepts? Because there's a lot more to learn in this and that I've already applied and I've done for a while and I've helped others understand. And again, not just on the business side, also on the personal side. So lottery winners can also go broke. And people who are just waiting on the lottery, ooh, I'm just going to win it one day, stop by and fuel, and then you go into the little mini mart. Okay, guilty up here too. So I would fuel and then I'd go park the car, or I'd fuel and then go in there. But I wouldn't get like lottery ticket. I'd go like get scratches. That's always my thing. Every once in a while, maybe a lottery ticket with family, like, hey, we want to pool in together. Not that I would need that necessarily to justify my life or make up for things that I don't have, but it's just in fun times, you could say, and to keep something alive and to keep feeling alive for something. And that's what people use it as. And it's that dopamine, that in those endorphins, those serotonin and oxytocin hits that people crave, and they crave novelty. They crave something bigger than themselves. So that's what gets you to go and purchase that ticket, because the transformation of you getting that ticket means now I can have a better home, pay off my mortgage, get the kids better into school where I don't have to be paying this. I don't have to own a mortgage for them side by side. I think get their own car now, their own insurance. What's the rate of the insurance? What's the class of the insurance? A, B, C. Where are we in this? What score are we giving it? And there's a lot of things going on with insurance right now, healthcare, affordability in general, and a lot of those things. And I have other businesses that I'm building right now, formed a few recently new companies, and putting things together to help the everyday person, because that's who I'm for, is the everyday affordability person, because I know what that's like. Not only the wealthiest or the richest to satisfy them because they need more liquidity. There's a time when that makes sense, when you build something like that so we can circulate and bring it to you. So you got to think outside the box. And this is the kind of stuff that I do behind the scenes. Business owners can make money and they still struggle. Employees can earn six figures and still struggle. This is also why, so you know, I don't just look at business owners and think, wow, you do 2 million a month. Somebody who is a rookie, somebody who doesn't understand numbers, just started an opportunity, will think like that. And they haven't seen enough. They haven't strengthened the mind. They haven't seen enough and experienced enough to know what I mean by that. And just to give you some context, is when I look at a business owner, I've had business owners come to me who generate 2 million, 4 million, 10 million a month. Those who do six figures, less than six figures, 1,000 a month, less than 1,000 a month. And all is the same, treated equally. Like you're my family member, not just a friend, family member, an actual family member. That you can rest your head on my shoulder. That I hopefully can on yours. Because I'm a very nice, kind person. I don't get in people's ways. I keep to myself mostly. It's hard to trust people. I understand that, especially nowadays. Social media isn't making it any easier. AI, I get all that. I can go on that topic forever, but I won't. So when I see that, it's more than that. It's about who the person is, because those are where the mistakes are coming from. And as I said earlier, it's about the financial literacy side on the personal side you could start with to get into the business side. Or business side fuels your personal side. Works in tandem in both ways. But it's like you're driving the same vehicle through a bumpy road. You still haven't taken that other one. It's like, why do you keep going down the bumpy road when you know your car's going to break? It's broken down before. Why do you keep taking it down this route? Well, it's the fastest and easiest way for me to get to where I need to get to from point A to point B. Sure. Yeah, what are the expenses? What's the value of the car worth to you versus what's it worth to someone who purchases this car? Inherited value, intrinsic value. Do you guys have the same need for the vehicle, problem that solves for the vehicle? Oh, well, now you put it that way. I could actually take more time to go the other way, but then that means I'd have to go through here. And I don't know if I want to see the person there. But at the cost and the expense of, oh, okay. I see your point. See, it takes a lot of that from someone else, from an outside perspective, for you to really see what the differences are, and to make that change. Because there's a lot of friction and resistance to that. And I understand that because I was once that person. That's you. I was once you. So it's more than that. It's about the human, it's about their character. That to me, when I look at business owners, it's not about the business. Great, I'm going to help your business get funding or without it yet. Let's plan this. Let's look at this as from a CFO, underwriting, engineering type mind, how I would build things, structure it, the cost per acquisition. If we get to this point, you have this much inventory, you're doing it at a wholesale level. You don't want to go retail. All right, we're going to maximize getting these many accounts open. So for you to even purchase that equipment, you have to sell over 330,000 in bundled units. So we're not even a fraction of the way there. So we need to actually focus on X, Y, Z first. We need to plot that first. Then we need to work our way this way. That's what a strategist does. That's what a business architect does. And that's who he is. Not this, just get funded, get funding. How much revenue is your business generating monthly? Oh, it looks like you have a healthy business. Or could your business use the money if we got to 200,000? Oh, yeah, you just saw ROI. No, it's about cash flow too and protecting the cash flow, protecting who the individual is at the end of the day. That's the human. That's what I look for. Quality, not quantity, quality. Not just the business and business quality. It doesn't have to necessarily mean that. But look at who first is the individual. And I see that from a distance. Very observant. Like I said, introverted. It's one of my gifts is I'm an observer. I have the gut feeling. If you have that, you would know the sensors. You know that from a distance who you want to apply yourself to and work with versus those you don't. Because you have a lot of people who will take up your energy and time inefficiently. And there are those who you are okay with because you want to help them understand that and what it is and it means to be efficient. Because they needed that. So questions. Why do so many people make a lot of money, but they still don't get far enough? They still have financial stress. And like I mentioned earlier, why do some people earn less but build wealth? It's about how you distribute, where you allocate your income. It's what you set aside, what you put it into assets, those appreciation of assets, or depreciation, what you're doing, taxes and so forth, write-offs, profits, all the stuff that happens, which I won't get too much into detail now. But building that portfolio is important, not just actual real world assets, looking at other pieces like digital currencies. And you have Bitcoin, all sorts of cryptos, which I won't get into the subject matter in this video. There's so many different investment opportunities, but you have to look at investing in yourself before you do any of this stuff, because no great investment is going to make up for a bad investment in the mind. And that's what it solely starts off with. And like I've mentioned, income doesn't alone solve the money problem. So one of the biggest financial misconceptions people have is believing that income automatically creates wealth. Most people think if I could just make more money, everything would be fine. And here's something I want to bring up to you. Do you know anyone who makes good money but still seems financially stressed? I'm not saying myself. I'm not pointing at myself like here, but I'm saying like if you were pointing at yourself. Or I know someone. I know a group of them. Most people do. And to be fair, income does matter, just not in the way you're thinking about it. Making more money can absolutely help you. Sure, it can solve a problem, but is this a short term versus a long term one? Before that dries up and you have to keep outworking yourself and working tirelessly to be back again in this perpetual hamster wheel again. But income and wealth are not the same thing. If income automatically created wealth for you, then wouldn't every professional athlete retire wealthy? Wouldn't every lottery winner become financially independent on their own? Wouldn't every six-figure earner be completely financially set and have more of a peace of mind than most? It all sounds neat and like, yeah. Is that who we aspire to be? Just the people who got by and got lucky? Or do you want to work for what you have? and look back on yourself and think, man, I also became the person I wanted to be. This is not about financial literacy. This is me, what I have in here, when I lead with the mind versus the heart, what's in my soul, in my spirit. That's what it's about. And growing within that, growing yourself, thyself. And we know it's all not true with them having always a complete financial peace of mind, every lottery winner being completely independent. A lot of that is not true. It's a lot of baloney. I'm not saying some of it isn't, but a lot of it is, a majority of it is baloney. Put that in your bologna and cheese sandwich with some mustard. I'm getting hungry. So we've all seen the stories of athletes that make millions again, and eventually they've gone broke. They're going broke. Like, here's the flashiness. Watch me. Is that who we aspire to be? Just watch more sports and educate ours so they watch more, and that's who you want them to fully. And I don't mean they shouldn't, but below that level of sports, below that level of whatever that high end career is, it's who is the person. And it's about the strengthening of the mind. So if there's anything I can pass down to you, besides financial literacy, funding, building businesses, business development, and more, is get stronger here. And that's where everything grows. And you won't look at the aesthetics any longer like you would. You wouldn't look at something that you think looks appealing, like a person looking appealing a certain way, chiseled body or whatnot. No, that's not appealing. What's appealing and attracting, at least to me, because I've built this, is their mind. I want to know their mind. I want to know deeply. How can we get deeply into things? It doesn't even have to mean a conversation, just a gesture. I'm a Libra. We do gestures. We're not the talk. I'm not the talker, at least. I'm more of a, I show you signals with my actions. I show you signals with my change of expression before I've ever said a word. So we've seen all that. We've seen the lottery winners lose fortunes that most people could have never imagined even starting with getting any of that. We see the successful business owners, I see them, and they generate impressive revenue, NOI. They have the assets and everything. They don't own anything. They rent everything. Now they don't have something that they're renting. Here's their net worth. I've seen it. I've communicated. I've been on the phone with them. And I'm willing to take a chance in a large, I don't bet. I don't do that. But I'm willing to take a large bet on myself and say they'll tell you that he's all about the mind. Like, I'm someone who has that, and I built it because it wasn't easy. You just build it because you want to. You want more than just motivation and willpower. When it doesn't show up, you have discipline, you have structure. You're going to do what you have to do regardless, and what you know it takes, even if you don't get to the goal, and that's not the goal ultimately, or the step-by-step goal you got to get to the larger one. So seeing all that, and those successful business owners dealing with impressive revenue, NOI, margins, at the margin, looking at things and now calculating business calculus is stuff that I do, and non-business calculative measurements, and I look at a lot of numbers. So I'm always breaking down their cash flow and much more. And I've created things and products around cash flow. So those are massive things that I have and that I am able to gift and give people. I'm very happy they have. Very happy and grateful and thankful for them. Because without them, I wouldn't be able to help the people that I've helped and the businesses that I've helped. So having to see all that impressive revenue while privately dealing with cash flow problems, debt, financial stress. Oh, behind the scenes, something's going on in their own personal life. Marriage, oh, kids, troubles because A, they never got their financial literacy side together. not enough of it. B, they're just more concerned with business. They're the, as much as I'm a business head, like I think in terms of a lot of that, solving business problems, people's problems, all these things, you have to set aside that difference and understand you're a human and you have a family and you have precious things in life that you want to keep so close to you that nothing will take you away from it. Nothing. So they're dealing with all this. So what's happening? The problem, you look deeper, is that income is only one piece of their equation. It's only one piece of the puzzle, one piece of the stoichiometry equation. When you're doing reactants to products, and they're putting these reactants on the left side of a chamber for only to feed it some combustion reaction on the right side of the equation with products that don't exist. They only existed momentarily because the markets are up. So super highly inflated, inflationary markets. Uh, but they're only solving one piece of the puzzle. Like you ever play puzzles? I was I wasn't good at it in the beginning. I was like, why isn't this fitting here? And I put it on another one. It wouldn't fit in there. And oh, okay. And then by naturally, it was just like, yeah, I want another puzzle. Oh wait, you there are the ones that like you. Oh, those are like 500 pieces. I'll stick to the ones that are. But then you can grow, and then you just grow. You go, okay, let me try it. Let me test myself. Let me see what the challenge is. But the challenge isn't so necessarily the thing you're doing. It's who you're becoming in the process of it. It's not the doing of putting a puzzle piece together. It's not the doing of becoming another person in this business or in your 9 to 5. It's in terms of the skill set. It's about who you're becoming as a person and what you identify with and who you identify with. It's most important. So money coming in is important. Like I've said before, it's important. But what happens after the money comes in is often even most important. So you have to ask yourself things like how much are you keeping? How much are you losing? And not just how much are you losing, how much am I losing due to poor decision making? And what is that ultimately costing me? What do I need to do? How much is it that I'm losing? Why am I losing it? What do I need to do to create change so I don't lose so much anymore? And it could be meaning just a little bit by little. It doesn't mean you have to then save and not lose all that. Just little by little steps. How much is being consumed by debt? A lot of debt out there right now. Wow, can't even begin to tell you that on the credit ratings. I'm in the market. I see all this stuff. I have a lot of insight behind the scenes that I give, that I get, that is deep, even before things anybody else is getting. And it's incredible where we're going. And if you're not shoes laced, seatbelt on, like I said, that road that somebody keeps going down that is bumpy, somebody's going to be putting like 500 more rocks on there. And some of those you won't be able to see because they're buried underneath on a dirt road, gravel road that you're going over consistently. How much is going towards taxes? How much are you and how much is being invested? How much is it that you're building in long term assets? Are you building any long term assets? How much is it that those assets, cash to cash returns, NPV, IRR, net present value, internal rate of return? And there's other logistical ways to look at this and say, am I creating enough potential future cash flow? Might not be right this moment, but potentially. Have I seen that I can? I haven't. I have, but I need to know that I can continue to do that. I can't just say, I followed a trend. Oh, so it worked. I'm doing options. I'm doing futures. Oh, I try to put that in my. It wasn't working though. My business. I try to use that as another way. Put it in a boat. Now I regret getting that boat. I commingled my personal and business expenses. I was trying to get a write off. I was trying to do business from my boat. Not saying that I did. I'm saying just in general. And just figuring all this stuff out and tracking and managing is super important when it comes to financial literacy. And another thing is how many people spend years focusing solely, indefinitely, exclusively on making more money. Very few spend time learning how to manage, protect, and multiply that money. And I'll get into this right here soon on person A versus person B. We are getting to that. Because financial literacy helps answer many of those questions that I just brought up. I know how to answer them for myself. At a time I didn't. So if you don't, it's okay. Take time. You can write them down on paper. If you need them on paper or more, just reach out to me. So very few people spend time learning how to manage, protect, and multiply that money. That's why financial literacy matters. And again, because in financial literacy, you get to have these questions asked, appropriately answered. That asking income alone questions could never get you to the place where you want to get to. So when you change the question, you ask a much more relevant, higher level question, you get a higher level answer. But when you're asking seldom of yourself, you're asking seldom of asking a question because you're satisfied or you're unhappy, but you just don't make a change, or you're thinking consistently and it just doesn't change. Change doesn't come around fast enough. Why me? Why not you? Why not spin that? When my family, they weren't in business. I didn't grow up with a family in business. Parents that were entrepreneurs. And I'm here showing up every day like I'm underneath dirt, like it's day one. Let's go again. Come on. Next day. I didn't do anything yesterday. I didn't accomplish. Let's go. I did accomplish, but I'm still set. My mind is the next day again and again and again and again. I don't break that. If I break the chain, I break it for one day where I got to get back on track with my things, on my activities day to day. But it's about building that muscle, and it becomes muscle memory. So if you don't see any proof of it, it's because you're not doing it. You're not doing it right. So it helps you understand, and as we've been saying and I've been preaching, is it helps you understand, and not just understand, better cash flow, taxes, debt, retirement, asset protection, investing, business ownership, wealth building. Income creates opportunity for you. And with financial literacy, because we're looking at differences with just income, financial literacy helps you determine what you do with that opportunity. What income gives you is the opportunity. That's the vehicle. Think of that. Income is like, well, your job you think is the vehicle, but at that point, the income is partially the vehicle, another feature you added in the car. Wow, this is getting me some nice music and radio sounding or whatever it is. I was going to start getting into different channels on radio. AMF. I listen to a lot of AM these days. I'm not kidding you. Put on the news. If I'm in the car in the morning, which I don't spend a lot of time in the morning doing that anyway. I have my businesses. I'm doing them from home. Wasn't easy. Like I said in the beginning, you build. And what's not breaking you or what breaks you, well, it makes you stronger. And here's something important that I want to go over with you. It isn't just a problem for low income earners. This affects everyone at different income levels. You see people who are leaving the country, they're buying their own island. And I won't get into that subject on what's being harvested and for what uses and the grid and to take a lot of energy and AI's data centers. I'm not going to get into that. That's a whole other topic. In macro and micro terms. So it affects people at every income level. There are people making $40,000 a year who are building wealth, and then there are people who are making $400,000 a year who are financially stressed, depressed. I communicate with those owners. I'm telling you. A lot of them actually look to me to see what's the other opportunity that you can offer me or you can help me with, and I can give you value to, because you don't want to do that business any longer. What else can I do? If there's something digitally you do, Michael, what is that? Can you show me, educate me, be my mentor? I'm more than happy to. But do you want it for yourself? You have to want it for yourself more than I want it for you. And I can extract that from you and understand you so I can understand what you need most and how do we get to what you are dealing with now to what you would like to get to most. But there's that gap where it's changing and it's becoming stronger up here. And as an individual, that'll get you beyond everything else. What happened in business? You made a mistake back up. Iterate. You did it right, iterate, test. Test that feature, test the split test that conversion on that page. Boom, 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 boom. Move all these things over here. That's how you learn, how you grow. So as a simple example, you see here on the left side, you have person A. Here, I have my, see if this works. It's not bringing it up while I'm in presentation mode, but I have my red marker that I usually would add when I'm doing a share screen. Could be just, I can't use it for when we're on a PowerPoint slide presentation. And so again, income doesn't create wealth by itself. Person A, their income is 250,000. Their spending though, 240,000. Their annual savings, run rate, you could say run rate for this year too. You don't have to just pick across last year. What's the rate of return? We can speak on that in terms of what does it bring bi-weekly. Bi-weekly, I mean weekly, bi-weekly, monthly gains. Not going to get too much into that, but that's another level to look at. But we have to look at what's our velocity of income. It can mean in the business, what's your revenue sales velocity? It can mean a lot of different things that we can look at and what we need to adjust to get to what we need to get to. You need a plan, you need to set aside, have a checklist, make sure you understand your inputs and outputs to get to what you have in income and what your spending costs are, overhead, expenses, fulfillment costs, where are you spending erratically versus where you aren't and where you shouldn't. And like I've said, I've seen a lot of bank statements, not just personal business tax returns. I can't tell you enough how much I see people buying things and they're mingling funds into their business account, and that's not an actual revenue coming in, that's a transfer. I see a lot of different things. And so again, imagining there are two people. Person A on the left, you have their income, 250,000, they're spending 240,000, annual savings of 10,000 because we're doing it on an annual basis. So their net worth in terms of growth, their netting in their worth is very minimal. And you can derive a different number to calculate the net income worth, but we'll leave that aside. I'd have to have other things I want to look at before I come to a determination in different years and more, so I can actually see an average and a trend line. So their net worth growth in this case is minimal, and you could just simply see it if you looked at it just from the front end surface, 250,000 and 240,000. That's not hard math. That's simple mathematics, front end mathematics. You can see they're saving only 10,000. What is that going to cover? Can even cover an expensive mortgage payment, property costs, maybe subscription costs, prescription, medication. Could be a lot of different things. That would go a long ways, but you have a lot of other things that you have to spend for in your own personal existence in life, and likely for others too. Oh, I got it, man. Something always comes up. Somebody's birthday. You go through that? Oh, we're already in July. Oh, that I didn't even know. Oh, really? We got to send them something? Oh, yeah, we will. I don't think like that anymore, but it's like, oh, another thing that comes up that we have to send someone money. Oh, parents they're not asking. My parents don't do that. But it's like, oh, now, if anything, you give your, like, aside, set them aside and thank them, and like they don't have to do what they're doing anymore, or like they want to be a place in your business or businesses. But that's something that always happens. I'm not laughing like it's funny. It's like, are you serious? Laughable. And like I just spent $60 on our out. We went out, and then now I got to set aside another $80 for. They want steaks. They're gonna cost them a little. It's, man, Mother's Day, Father's Day is like, oh, it's another secondary birthday to them, but I really want to go out, and I gotta spend more again. I'm gonna have to save aside another $20 next month. My weekly groceries, $200 for the month. I'm running over 500, 600 plus. Man, where's the 2,000 that I had? I'm only netting 400 and set aside cash flow of like 20 to 25 bucks because I have emergency funds. And 20, 25 bucks are going to cover anything that I need ongoing, set aside every single month. And my rate of return on my cash flow is so seldom because I don't make more. It's about how much more you keep. I've seen a lot of people who make low amount, but they can keep. And if that's their situation, that's different. Not everybody can. So person B on the right, as you see on the screen, their income is 80,000, a lot lesser than person A at 250,000. 170 difference. Okay, difference. And so that person's annual spending, not run rate in this, but let's say their annual spending is 50,000. That might be adjustable and change, and we look at the averages and more. So their annual spending is 50,000. Their annual savings, notice that you see saving and then you see investing. So their annual savings and investments, not just, it could be more than one investment, multiple investments, is now 30,000. Whose net worth growth is more? Keyword significant. Yes, on the right. Saving and investing 30,000. And does it always set aside? No, it doesn't. But that person may have been in the position that thought, I'm going to go all in, put all my eggs in one basket, or no, we won't. We will get a market adjusted return. We've seen this go down like this, so we shouldn't invest in here. Bitcoin's down over 50% recently, over 13, 15%. These are making some runs. The S&P 500 is always a good place structurally, long-term to hold. A lot of short-term traders out there right now in the economy, getting in and out, transferring into gold, Pax Gold, Tether, silver, copper, land, properties. There's a lot more out there that I haven't gone into. Done a lot of this myself. Helped a lot of people and helped a lot of people understand what their best vehicle and vehicles are. So annual savings again and investments is 30,000. A lot you can do with, what would you be able to do with 30,000? But it's about being smart and where are the opportunities, equities, bonds. What would I see in return if I'm doing weekly dividend stocks, not monthly? That's another angle too, another place. And thinking about it more strategically and understanding charts and all that stuff. That's what I like. I like numbers. I like charts. In fact, I love them. So as an ongoing theme, I want to always bring up, what's the question or questions to ask yourself is, for one, how I think of it is, which person is actually building wealth in this case? We see on the right-hand side, we have that individual, most likely. And yes. And their net worth growth, where the left one on the savings of 10,000 is minimal to a significant impact for person B. So we know person B is ahead. So most people automatically assume that the person earning more money is wealthier, but wealth isn't determined by income alone. It's determined by what happens after your income is earned. And that's the recurring theme we've been speaking about, with income being the feature we add into the vehicle, because the vehicles are engine that runs, and we're able to add, or we had the features in the car, we have the income coming in. Oh, well, then we got to add the wealth part to it. What's the road we're driving on? Can we sustain driving on this road? Can the income go? Will the fuel go, with the income being the fuel to the car as well, not just the features? Oh, well, I just got to keep adding more fuel to the car. That's not how you live. That's not the way to do it. And pretty soon you're going to be spending more than what your wages can keep up with inflation. So the dollar is even more devalued, and you can't stretch out $1, let alone $20 long enough, large enough to cover a full tank of gas, which would normally all the time. But it's like now you're spending over 100, 200, depending on the vehicle, depending on what you have to fuel. There's just so much. And so again, wealth isn't determined by your income and anybody's income alone. It's determined by what happens after that income is earned. Why is this the truth, and why is this something you should care more about? Because wealth doesn't simply determine by what you earn, not the income, not by what you earn. And earning doesn't always necessarily mean it's income itself. I mean, what other ways are you earning without a monetary value attached to it? How did you earn this monetary value? What did you have to go through to earn that monetary value? Why wouldn't I put it into something else? I'm putting all my energy to this. Why couldn't I just change my input of my energy where it's going? Because that's the matter. Matter comes from energy. Energy matters. So how do I create better energy? Well, I got to look at what matter I have. And so now that's what I realize, that I need to make a change of where I'm putting my energy. So it's determined by how well you understand and manage the financial decisions that surround what you earn. That's why the goal isn't simply to make more money. The goal for you is to become the type of person who understands how money actually works. Remember what I've said before? To become the type of person. I didn't say to become the business person. I didn't say to become the insurance person. I didn't say to become the asset manager or the mutual fund manager. I didn't say that. I didn't say to become the investor. I said the goal is becoming the type of person, keyword, characteristic traits, values, discipline, who understands how money actually works and how to move money. Wanted to say how to move money, where the liquidity is going, and where to follow, when somebody's going this way, when to go that way, and why is it important to go that way at that time. And that leads us to our second trap, because I want to share something in this next slide. When people earn good money, money still stays and it struggles in one area, and that is for cash flow. So cash flow matters more than income. One thing I want to prelude, like I did the last slide, and I could just go into person A, person B, but I wanted to go into a bit of what you're going through first before we go into person A, person B. But you can see here, person A and person B again, up and down cash flow. It enters one way, it goes out the other. What it comes in has to go out somewhere. There's always an exit. Like at the movie theaters, when you're getting your popcorn, you're going in. Yeah, I found the seat, or you had an assigned seat. But you walk in. I like to sit at the very top, so I go up to the very top, and I find like the middle spot. If I can't, I'll just sit somewhere at the top. I don't want to always take the edge, or I'll go somewhere a little bit middle of the rows. Were you ever someone who sat at the front? I remember when I was like one of the last people to go into the theaters. It was a long time ago, and like I would have to like look up. How much more of this? And these seats were much closer than what they are now, and they had quite a bit of rows up front. So if you can select one of those seats, whatever is best for you, what you like is what you like. But it's kind of like that. You have an entrance point. You walked into the movie theater, you got a ticket, paid for something, went in, buttered up that popcorn. Ooh, how we like to butter up our popcorn. I'm still one of them. Have I earned it, though, is my question. Have I earned that I can go in there and just give me all the butter, man? I don't do that anymore so much, but it's like, and from time to time, you still enjoy going to watch a movie, and we have streaming services now and other ways to get in front of movies. But that's what you get, and you buy a premium for when you go to a theater, because they know that you frequent not so occasionally anymore. So you're going to make the most out of that experience when you're there. It could be a higher cost. So what they would have had to replace it with 3 to 5 people, now they can replace it with one. It's just enhancing the experience, enhancing the sights of the movie, enhancing what gets offered, what people want to buy from walking into a movie theater, what they want to see visually before they walked into the theater. Just let alone, is there enough activity? Is there anybody at the parking lot? Like that's alone. And that's how I think a lot. I think a lot of these like movements about everything. And where their cash flow is going, where their branded movie theater is. Are they franchised? Are they not? What could they be doing differently and better? But more importantly is how people are consuming, what people are buying. Why do they buy at that time? What makes them buy that? Is that the alternative cost? What was that at the grocery store? Those are a lot of the topics that I want to understand and get to understand a lot through what I do. So most people never learn cash flow. So cash flow matters more than income. And in businesses, as well as in personal, but business, I'm telling you, as the creator of things in the cash flow space, not just profit or Like you see a lot out there. It's cash flow that matters most. Cash flow. Businesses go out of business because of lack of cash flow, little and or any. And so most people never learn the cash flow. Money comes in, money goes out, inflows and outflows. Looking at cash flow, average daily balances matter, business, personal side, understanding what goes in and what goes out at what periods, how many transactions made, a lot of this stuff. Cash flow leaks, a leaky faucet, call a plumber. Why do you have to call a plumber right away when you can look at and diagnose it? Maybe you don't know technically and using the tools to get in there in the pipe. That's okay. But why can you at least find out what it would be the problem? You have a lot of places you can just quickly search up and get an answer or watch a tutorial. So it's about taking the energy and time too to understand at least that elemental part to it. Lifestyle inflation, as I mentioned before, wages. We've seen somewhat of a, I don't want to call it stagnant, more stabilized wage growth, but not at the growth in GDP and PCE and overall rate that we want to see, and where inflation is going in over 2% plus, and we look at core inflation. But all this stuff is just downpouring, and you have to make better decisions. But it's harder to when you don't have enough income coming in. When you have the income that comes in, you don't know how to make more with that income that comes in. You don't set it aside. You're not learning about cash flow. You want to start a business? I'll help you. But it's about understanding more than just being an operator in your day-to-day business. It's understanding these parts and taking it upon yourself, not just outsource it. Oh, I don't have the energy and time. Well, I didn't. I don't think I'll understand the number. I don't think I would have either. And I'm a numbers guy. Well, see, when do the excuses stop? When do you put them aside and don't even look at them again? And they don't even come up. So that's what happens a lot. So do you know where your money is going? Are your financial decisions intentional? I'm looking for the word purposeful and intentional. Is there purpose behind your intention? In other words, so have purpose before you take intention on and make intentions on what you're going to do. They haven't been done yet. So it's more important than income when you look at cash flow. So many people believe that if they can just increase their income, their financial problems will disappear. And if you didn't know this, because from my experiences, dang, that wasn't the main problem. But then now I had like 4 or 5 other ones. And then I had the main problem. And then I found out the lower problems below that. Other ones, I found a larger problem, the same main problem. So I'm just masking it. I'm just putting something over it just for another day. Que venga. When it comes. That's what I said. Que venga el día. When the day comes. So many people believe that they can just increase their income, their financial problems will disappear. But income and cash flow are not synonymous like that. They're not the same thing. And income is what comes in. Your cash flow is how money actually moves and interacts once that money is in. Deposits, what are those deposits? What's that? Is that actually true revenue? Is it not? You're just moving, transferring funds. Your inflows and outflows determine a lot of what your cash flow looks like. Starting and ending balances, average daily balances, average run rate of your balances over how many months. Can we see a trend line and a pattern of where you'll be? How many in a day you transact, what comes in and what goes out in a day? There's so many examples I can bring, but I'm not going to get into all that. I'm personal and business right now. And again, cash flow is how money moves. It's what is coming in. It's what goes out. It's what stays. For how long? Like you have quick cash conversion cycles, which sounds great. You don't have large, medium-sized gaps in time where it takes this much time for you to make more money. So you made some now, you make more. It doesn't take so long. Net 10s, net 30s, even not even net 10s. You get paid right away up front. Installment, buy now, pay later. Bill pay. What does that look like? And there's at what times, how much you keep versus what goes out. If you had more demand coming in, if you had more revenue coming in, more income coming in, would you be able to support more income coming in. That's not always an easy way to answer because you got to look at beyond what you make. It's about the cash flow, and that's what's supporting everything. So people think by making a lot of income streams, they could just top their cash flow as high as they can, but it's not how it works. You gotta stay focused too. You can't always build everything all at once. So what stays and what gets directed to you and your future and those closest to you, those you want to pass something down to, a business, these thoughts to, this workshop to. And I saw a lot out there and I thought, what? Where is something like this? We need more. And we need someone from a point of view that doesn't just understand personal finances, has experienced them, has helped others, but also on the business side. Like, who's that person? I haven't found it yet. I had to become it. And I've been doing this for a long time at a high level, not just in the funding space, building businesses, business development. Just over the weekend, I was speaking with someone inside our family about a gift shop business that they have and giving them ideas. And they were asking me because I have these things at a high level in my head. And I just asked this or that, or I don't have to ask. I know this by this. I understood that already. And here's what I would do is go in this direction, boom, 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 and add a QR code to the back of this. If you go in that direction, you don't have to do that to start. So you collect and you understand that person. And then you can communicate with them future things, VIP, gift shop, gift box, and bonuses, or here's a subscription, or we add the low ticket, mid ticket, high ticket, then we add the residual component to it on the business here. That could be our back end versus our front end. Here, we're going to map this out like this. Here's your long-term strategic roadmap. There you go. So many people don't know exactly how much money they make. I know I was there at a point. Like, it gets so bad, and tell me if I'm wrong. You get to a point so bad in your life where you thought you knew what you were making, or you knew what you were making. You just were like, I think it just sits in the account. And then you look at it, you go, oh man, another withdrawal came in today, another 2 more. Like, I barely made enough today. Like, I don't have enough. Right here, guilty. I was that person. I'm not this superhuman being who's like, wow, you've never had that happen to you. Listen, I was in education. I don't know. I don't even say that word. Listen, I just happened to say it. I don't even. It's the first time in a long time. So there. And so I was in school, and you're looking at someone who's an academic who's go through the schooling system and come out on top, get a job. I've been there, and you just don't want something like that. You want to do something for yourself so you can pass it down and be independent of the strings being pulled from the government, from people who want to keep you in that loop of being that workhorse for them, so you can keep feeding those individuals and those groups in corporate and keep making them happy and them throwing their pizza parties to you, and well, they're half not eating pizza and doing something else. So they don't always look at where, and I was there too, you don't always look at where your money is going because you see a lot of withdrawals. You just I won't do anything, or you do something, but then another problem arises and you just weren't ready for that other problem. Maybe you had made the right move, you just weren't ready for that next problem. Just weren't tentative ahead of time, or it wasn't from the right way you had to look at it. So have you ever looked at your bank account and just looked at it, and to yourself you wondered, where did it all go? Where did it all go wrong? Forget about where the money went. Where did it all go wrong? You're like sitting there, like head scratching, other places scratching. And it isn't, how is it that you start scratching? It's like at that right moment, something begins to itch. It's like right there. You feel it off the top right here. Spidey senses are tingling. Not in the right way, spidey senses are tingling to help you go save the day. So you're not the only person. A lot of us, myself, as I shared with you earlier, we experience it, and we can experience it in many levels. So many people experience all this that goes on in the different stages, what it's more personalized to them and it means to them. But it doesn't always mean that somebody is irresponsible. It can mean that you are, someone else is irresponsible. It's not always because someone's lazy. It isn't because nobody taught them how to think about their cash flow. Excuse me. It's because nobody taught you how to think, not just to implement, but to think, critically think. And that's one of my products that I have is what I show people is the critical thinking side of the equation, the asking the questions to what they need to do the inputs, and then to rightly do the things they need to do with their numbers and gradually building them correctly. And again, that's why, because nobody taught you and I how to think about cash flow, how to think about money. So I remember when I first started playing closer. I started paying closer to my own finances. What surprised me in all of this, it wasn't that I wasn't making money. It's that, and I wasn't making more. I thought I could make more. One of my positions. It was realizing I had never taken the time to analyze, measure, correctly evaluate where the money was actually going. Like many people, I knew what I had earned, but I wasn't always looking at how much I was keeping. Once I started paying attention to the cash flow part of the equation, I started noticing my patterns, my spending patterns, my expenses, small, that compounded into being larger ones, into buying things that were larger, small habits, smaller decisions. And then I didn't think they were so large to me at the time. Like I'll always make more so I can cover those, but that's not the point. Collectively, to me, they had a much bigger impact though than I had realized. It was tough. So it taught me that after looking up a few things online and understanding like what could I learn to do this different and how could I apply that strategy a certain way. Ultimately, it was until I had to take action. It wasn't from what somebody else was saying, because you'll realize through your process and your journey that it's different to you than it is to someone else. You can always meet with an advisor or someone, but ultimately you know what you need to do day to day to get to what you need to get to and where you need to get to. So those things align differently. So going through a lot of this, seeing the financial setbacks and some progress. But when I started getting more progress, changing about how I approach things, I started figuring out very quickly it wasn't earning more money. It wasn't about me earning more. It was keeping more of what I earned and what I did with that cash flow. So you take a business, for example, you could take it and multiply it. It's cash flow. You grow it. What's its growth channel? You could take it and put it into another business. But that's what you're ultimately looking at is how can I grow this business? How can I grow its cash flow? And so much more. Sometimes it's just about becoming more aware of what you're already doing. That's it. It's just mindfulness. It's being mindful about your surroundings and what you do internally more than just externally. So everything's internal, and that's where we need to begin. So, for example, I want to give you, if somebody gets a raise, you buy a new car, they buy a nice car, and they move into a bigger house. They take on more subscriptions. That car gives us some subscriptions, like we're buying into the entertainment. And that's what normally happens. Like all the subscriptions tend to come from more entertainment. I'll get the premium service, increase spending. They upgrade their lifestyle. Like you wouldn't even believe it. I'm good. I'm happy. And happy and success means something different to everyone. It doesn't always mean monetarily. Not saying that I'm not doing good. I'm doing well myself, but it took a while to get to where I'm at. And I still look at where I am and like I haven't done anything. Honestly, that's my approach. And I told you earlier, below dirt, that's my approach. I have a different mentality than most people do. And it's just about building that. And once you get to that, it's like, oh, now you see it and what he was meaning. So they increase their spending, they upgrade their lifestyle. A year later, they're making more money than ever before, than they could have ever imagined. Woo! Put me on the show, and so I can get a home, or if I haven't, or a second one, and add an ADU to it. Or you don't want to be on that because I don't like being in the public eye like that. You see me do this, I want to help you, give you value. It takes a lot of courage from me. So a year later, even before a year later, that can happen. Yet somehow they feel exactly the same financially. There's no indifference. It's like just bundled what you made, and you haven't become the person yet who can understand that at a deeper level. So when we look at why, because their expenses grew right alongside their income. This is often called lifestyle inflation. The problem isn't that you should be earning more wherever you are now. What the problem really is, and I know this for a fact, I've dealt with it, and I've dealt with it by helping people and non-business owners too, not just business owners. So the problem really is that increased income often gets absorbed by their increase in spending. And as I've mentioned before in the last slide, too. So business owners of all sorts and sizes, backgrounds, they experience this. They focus on revenue, optimizing for revenue mostly. And revenue is the key, it's important. But with revenue is the only thing you pay attention to. It doesn't tell you the full picture and story of how you're managing and what kind of cash flow you're getting. So the business can generate hundreds of thousands of dollars in revenue and still struggle financially. Why is that? Because their revenue doesn't equate to being their profit. More revenue does not equal to making more in profit. At the margin, are you making more profit? We'll take aside your fulfillment cost when we do our contribution margin formula. When we look at expedited risk rated returns, when we look at different key data points that'll tell us in what direction you are moving in and which you shouldn't be moving in, we'll have a better grasp and understanding of what to do. So again, revenue is not profit, and profit is not cash flow. Can't have cash flow without profit, and can't have profit without revenue. Sure. But a business owner can be growing while simultaneously they're experiencing cash flow stress, distress. They're not even able to pay themselves a salary enough. They can't cover other costs, payroll. They have equipment that's worn down and they need to get a new piece or else they won't be able to print out so many units or cover their existing vendor costs and suppliers and keep them happy. They have a property they need to acquire, so they want to do it a separate way where they are having trouble though. There's so much that goes on. So the business owner can be growing while, again, they simultaneously are experiencing cash flow stress. The same thing happens in personal finances. So income does matter. Again, we're trying to get away from just that income is not the only driver. Income matters, but understanding how much money moves matters more than anything. Again, let me say that once more. But understanding how money moves matters even more. That's what's important. That's why one of the most important financial skills anyone can develop is awareness, situational awareness, because awareness creates clarity, gives you at least a peace of mind to start with. It gives you that it'll be okay as long as I do this and I follow through with it, because you're in motion. Awareness creates motion. Motion is created by awareness. So clarity then leads, into you making better decisions. And clarity, we got to look at beliefs, we got to look at a lot of things, but clarity creates better decision making and better decisions ultimately. With better decisions, your output is your outcome, your goal and goals. That's what it's derived from. So clarity also builds confidence, wisdom, perspective, perceived notion that something would happen like this, and you continue to go down that route. So better decisions, again, create better outcomes. When you're punctual, you're disciplined, you're on it, stay focused, there's a lot you can do. When you begin tracking where money is going, you start seeing things differently. You manage it, risk mitigation, preventative maintenance, management. You notice your financial leaks. You notice your unnecessary expenses. You start noticing your patterns more frequently. You notice those opportunities that are not serving you and ones that could serve you. And you begin making decisions more intentionally instead of emotionally. So let's look at this from the examples. Again, person A, income is 100,000. Expenses is 85,000. Their debt is 10,000. Cash flow is 5,000. So by cash flow, I mean, you just look at the numbers. Their remaining cash flow is 5,000. So their debt payments, their obligations, expenses are 85,000. Income is 100,000. For person B, their income is 100,000. Their expenses are 60,000. Their debt is 5,000. So now we have a reduction of 5,000. And their cash flow is 35,000. That's the remaining cash flow. So we can see side by side, we have the same income like we did in the last example. We have our expenses that are the major piece here that drive everything in our remaining cash flow. So we have our expenses now set aside for that much. Our debt payments are 5,000, 5,000 less reduced. So our remaining cash flow is 35,000. Same income again, very different financial reality to them. That's why cash flow matters. So your goal shouldn't be to strive for being perfect, practice continuing to do the right thing. And the goal is just to have awareness. And when you write these things down, there's more than these numbers, obviously, what you want to have down, your goals and numbers. But just wanted to show you something just as much as we can go with right now and what I wanted to give you for the time we have. So awareness isn't often the first step toward financial stability. Excuse me. It's often the first step is awareness. So understanding where you are now, where you want to get to, your aspirations, what you manifest, what you aspire to, that's what's going to help you create the financial stability. It's going to help you get there in a much better way. So once people start paying attention to the cash flow, you start paying attention to that closely, how often you discover another area that affects nearly every financial decision you make. That's how it begins. So you start seeing one thing that you wouldn't have seen, or you did, but you didn't see the next thing. So don't always try to plan everything like, oh, if this happened, then this has to happen this way. No. That's the beauty of life, is you're in always creation mode. Doesn't matter. You create one thing, you're going to always create another thing. Find a way you want to do something and a way you don't want to do it again. So you see all that. You have taxes, what you do with your decisions and taxes, and that's where the next financial trap will lead us into. So this is the tax trap. It's not what you make, it's what you keep. So one of the biggest financial blind spots, and I had this, is most people have is in taxes. You can see the image on 1040, W2. I've seen so many of these, a lot. I do a lot of analysis on them. And the taxes severely impact your wealth. They impact your cash flow. Most people never study tax strategy in its entirety. Business owners often learn this later. The employees really learn this at all. And so I've seen a lot of businesses. I've seen a lot of people's tax returns, personal and business tax returns, all types of businesses and all looks of them. And what I'm evaluating for when I'm looking for things. So all that matters. And it's one of the biggest financial blind spots. It's taxes. In the tax trap, it's not what you make, it's what you keep. And what's interesting is that taxes affect nearly every financial decision that we make. Yet most people spend very little time learning about them at all. Just think about it. Most people spend their time researching a new phone, the next phone coming out, the next event to go to, a vacation, a television screen, a vehicle, because they're programming you. That's the mind. You're getting programmed. All the fictionary tale, stimulating serotonin, oxytocin, endorphins, dopamine. It's dopamine that releases a lot. And so it becomes very known and comfortable, and you assimilate with the group because it's very known. It doesn't always mean you have to do that. You look at differences, go in a different direction. So they spend a lot of time researching on all these things, and they spend understanding their taxes. What their taxes could be, getting better tax accountants could be, or getting one, and yet, or a system for that, payroll, and to have your books in order. So, and yet with taxes, they're often one of the largest expenses that you'll ever have. So now I want to be clear. This workshop is not tax advice. I'm not a CPA. I'm not giving tax recommendations. What I am saying is that financial literacy does include understanding how taxes do impact your life. Because whether you're an employee, a business owner, you're self-employed, an investor, a future retiree, the taxes matter so much. They're very heavily added to all this. Way too much. So what I would want to ask on this is how much have you or how many of you have actually been taught taxes in school? Not just giving it away or like just here, do my taxes. Usually nobody raises their hand on that. Nobody like they have a blank face. What are taxes? Why do we need them? Why are they useful? How about how should we learn about taxes so we can make better financial decisions and not trap our cash flow? Uh, every situation is different. What you'll go through is different than I was I asking for a philosophy question that we answered. Not that it can't start like that. Obviously, if it leads into something that's like, oh, okay, that's the definitive way, or here's a way to do it. Usually, again, nobody's like, or if they were, they're not like, oh, pick me. So again, usually nobody raises their hand. So let's look at a simple example with this. And so you can see on your screen, I brought this here. So before we go into these two scenarios, I want to say, think of it like this. Many people think they made 100,000, but the better question to ask yourself is how much of that 100,000 do you actually keep? Do I actually keep? Because with your income and take home income, they're not the same thing for you. So your taxes, your taxes will influence your cash flow, your investing strategy, which you invest into, your retirement plan strategy, your business decisions, your wealth building. And going into retirement is something very scary for a lot of people. They don't have enough or they don't want to rely on only one source of income. It could be many things. Social security, disability, a form of assistance, veterans assistance. There's just so much that can happen, but you don't want to be sitting on the fence. Like, do I do this or do I not? I should be ready. I should find things that I haven't even been able to understand well, or there's more that can take me to a new level, and so I can do this differently. And for everyone else around you, anybody else that can use this, it's about making people around you better, people that you don't even know either. Because with all this, how much do you actually keep? Income and take home, again, they're not the same thing for you. And taxes, they influence all those key pieces that I mentioned, from your cash flow down to your wealth building. So understanding taxes doesn't mean becoming a CPA. It means becoming more aware. Many people only think about taxes once per year. When it arrives, I'll do it. I was that person. Like, I was not always the last minute to get them submitted, but I was. Other times I wouldn't. But it was like I started it, but I would never end it that day, or I wouldn't like it'd go so long. Like, oh, you meaning I didn't have this stuff written down, so now I gotta go and like look it up on my accounts and do it line item by line item. That's what I was doing a while ago. So I get it. If you were there or you are there, I understand that. And it just become something you need to be aware of. Doesn't mean you have to become a CPA. And you only, or most people do only think about it once per year. So when tax season arrives, you gather the documents, you file your returns, you hope for the best. And then you move on. But successful financial planning involves thinking about taxes. You got to think about the taxes before you start making your submission, your decisions on what you input, not after. It's all the stuff that happens before. And that'll also help you in a lot of ways on what you need to get to in your goals in life and business. So business owners often learn this lesson the hard way. They start generating income. They suddenly discover bookkeeping matters. Record keeping, that does matter. Entity structuring matters. Tax planning does matter. Because a lot of businesses, I've seen a lot of business not be tax structured correctly. Set up the entity the wrong one, the wrong way. They thought they were going to do things with preferred stock, preferred equity. without any of that, without giving equity. Properties, what they should have had it under, why they haven't earned the C corp, when they should have done it this other way first, gone S corp, LLC. Depends. It's a different beast out there, and these are the things that I do, so I can always help you with, and just understand what you're building, what you were trying to build. So a lot of them wish they had learned these concepts much easier and earlier. Most importantly, earlier. So employees experience a lot of this. I've been that person. If you are now, if you once were. So many simply just assume that their taxes are being handled for them and never learn how taxes impact their longer term wealth building, retirement planning, investing, or financial decision making. And again, the goal isn't for you to become a tax expert. It's not for you to become an attorney. It's not for you to become a CPA. It's to understand enough to ask better questions, because it's the critical thinking that matters. The better questions often lead to better decisions, and better decisions can have a significant impact over years and decades to come. And it's not about knowing everything. You're growing, and that's how I was, is just growing. I'm not a know-it-all, never. Just, you don't know it all. You're growing, and you're learning more. It's about understanding how to avoid your costly mistakes, preventative maintenance, risk mitigation. And when people begin thinking about their taxes, they often realize that there's something else. Many have not actually stopped to think about seriously retirement. They know they want financial freedom someday. When that'll be, I don't know. They know they want their options. They know they don't want to work forever, but they don't always have a roadmap for how they're going to get there. It's very simply said that anybody can say, I want financial freedom. Yeah, that thing sounds cool. Say it again. Cool. But it's about asking deeper level questions. How to, putting a time on things is important too, in many cases. So you can put that upon yourself to know when you want to do something and when you want to get something done, if you're on track. But they don't always have a roadmap for how they're going to get there. And that's where the fourth financial trap gets into. So, oops, right here. And that's what brings us to here. And as we have still on the screen. So what does your retirement look like? How much income will you need? What is your plan? What's your retirement plan? What's your long-term thinking about your retirement plan, or what you will need to plan? What does financial independence look like to you? It's different to each person. What's your future cash flow? What should it look like? What's your wealth accumulation strategy? What should it look like? What do you want more than what you have now? So what does your retirement look like? How much income will you need? What is your plan? What are your goals? There are more questions I can ask you, but what I want you to understand is hope is not a retirement strategy. Hopelessness, hope, if that makes sense, deliberate hope gets you to where you need to get to. Not just I hope, or saying, I'm trying to be the person who knows how to retire. No, see the difference? I am the person who will retire with da. As opposed to, I will try to retire to be the person as a, yeah. No, you haven't changed your identity. The part of all of this is your identity change. That's the number one thing. If that doesn't change, nothing else will. You could do all you want, but until you change your identity and what you identify as yourself in what you're doing, who you identify yourself as and you're becoming, all of this is going to be irrelevant. Because you could always aspire, but it's never going to become a habit. It's never going to become a routine. It's never going to become purposeful, value-driven, mission-driven, something behind you why you're not going forward anymore, because your why too isn't strong enough. So it's got to be something you pull out of you that you want to do more, and not, setback. No, that's enough. No, keep going. What are other ways you can do this or do it better? So one of the biggest financial traps people face is not having a clear retirement roadmap in place. And what's interesting to me is that most people don't even know what that means or what it is, what it should look like. And people don't intentionally choose this at all. It just happens. Like, oh, retirement, cool. And like we're sitting all at a bonfire with the family. Like, wow, you're near retirement. I want to get to the age of 65, and when retirement I'm going to get to. And man, I just wish, like, do you want to sit around people like that, or do you want to sit around and, yeah, that's what Sally and John look different. Like, what is going on with them? And naturally, they just care to ask, like, how's life? How have you been? Anything new? Anyone new spark your interest? It's like that. So why can't it feel like that when you're being asked questions about funding because it's a dry subject, or finance, excuse me, funding, finance, retirement planning strategies? Because it's a dry subject. That's something when you get around to it, I'll get around to it. No, it's now. You got to start looking ahead of time because that plan can change down the road. It can happen instantly. Oh, I have been thinking about that plan for years, but you showed me a different way. Boom, let's add this. I can compound that. Give me some of that compound chicken. Okay. But let's compound that effect. Let's look at that cause. Let's compound that effect. Let's do that. And so it simply just happens. Life gets busy. Your career, job gets busy. Class, the student, trade school, whatever it is. And families get busy. The bills need to be paid. Responsibilities continue to grow. They stockpile, even add more responsibility because of payments. And before you know it, years have passed. That could be decades without ever stopping to ask yourself a few important things. And those things I would come to mind with is, how much money do you actually need? You could say before, but in retirement, how long will that money last you? Where will that money come in from? Where will that income come in from? Where will that cash flow you're setting aside go into and come in from? Can you continue to move that money from there into that account or accounts? ETF funds, money market funds. Where are you going out there to get interest on your money? There's a lot of things to be looking at. How long will my money need to last me? That's different for each person, what your goals are and how you're living. What are the expenses you have to cover, and so much more. What happens if inflation continues to rise? Because we are in an inflationary environment that I only see that going up with another rate hike, 0.25 basis of a point, very likely towards the end of December, beginning of next year. Very hawkish in geopolitical space and times. Just so much going on. But even without that, even if interest rates are low or they're going back, even if inflation was low, interest rates were high, inflation high, interest low, supply and demand where it could be, you want to be prepared and catch this ahead of time. You don't want to have to be waiting on the sideline. Call my name. I'm ready. Coach, put me in. Well, if you would have been better prepared, you didn't practice, the heck do I want to put you in for? Just so the parents can be happy that we put you in? Well, at a point when you're younger, yeah, sure. But you get to a point where it's like, now you got to grow, got to change. And what happens if the healthcare costs increase, which we see, the ratings, the markets, private insurance versus non-private insurance, subsidies, what happened there. There's just so much that people can't even access anymore. And it's such a struggle for people right now. And that's something in one of my businesses, my new ones that I've been piecing together on that side with affordability that I've been working on and piecing together and more of to help people. So what happens if you want to retire earlier than expected? What do you do then? What happens if you physically can't work anymore? Most people, they know they want financial freedom, like licking their lips at it, like they're ready to eat some barbecue, some Mexican food, a burger. But what I see from my own observations of seeing myself and seeing others is, one thing I've noticed is that most people don't spend much more time thinking about retirement when they're younger. That's something that needs to be taught. That's what I would be teaching. That's what I would be teaching my nephew. That's what I would be teaching others. At 25, retirement feels far away. At 35, it still feels farther away. And even at 45 years of age, many people feel like they have plenty of time. Then one day, they realize retirement is no longer than decades away. Decades have passed. And that's when many people begin asking questions they wish they had as years earlier. And that could mean marriages collapse, divorces. That could be something financially that grows apart from someone, from getting together with someone, let alone, because that's what divides people is the finances. That's why retirement planning isn't really about retirement. It's about giving yourself more options in your future than you probably would have realized at this moment. And they're like, oh, because I have this now, I have that option. Cool. I can get to that option much faster. Awesome. And less time. That's more convenient. Less friction, less resistance. So, do you ever have you ever put together a retirement number? Do you know what your retirement number is? So, how much money you'll actually need? Most people don't. Most people know they want choices. Most people know they don't want to be financially dependent on others later in life. And a lot of this adds up to what choices they have in retirement right before it's retirement. Because you may have been right now in a position or are where you are not given options. Life just happens to me. I just gotta accept this. So this is how retirement will be. You have the power of time, like you see here, power of energy and time to be able to change that retirement plan ahead. Most people know they don't want to be financially dependent on others later in life, as mentioned. But many people have never built themselves a roadmap to get them there or to see it in someone else. Instead, for them, retirement often becomes something they hope will work itself out. Maybe there's a retirement account here or there. I'll put something into the 401k. I'll roll this over here. It's not too late to get into ETFs, ETF funded accounts, a pool, stock buybacks, dividend stocks. Sure, but how does it grow? And do you want to only rely on that source? Or do you want to say you have something else you can move it into and build something more? And there's a lot of different angles and perspectives to look at that. And your answer could be different to someone else's and likely will be. So they've never built that roadmap. So instead, retirement usually becomes something they hope it will work itself out. And it's not deliberate hope, like I said. Maybe there is a retirement account. Maybe there is a pension. Maybe there are investments. Maybe there will be real estate available. Maybe there is a business. Maybe there is Social Security. But maybe it's not a plan. And the word maybe is like the word should. You keep saying should. I should. I will. I will. I must. I will. And nothing will get in front of you. Like if it does, daringly, like get out of my way. You don't have to say it, just in your head. That's how I am. Like next thing. Oh, that person was obnoxious, ignorant, stubborn, naive, egotistical. Next. And so it's like you got to figure that out and you start to see these patterns and understand. But you don't want to be caught in a maybe timeline. A plan requires you to have clarity, and clarity comes from education. And remember what I said about clarity. Clarity brings also certainty. Certainty, when you start being productive, you get confidence. You get confidence because you're seeing the thing you're actually doing. And that's how you build confidence. And belief in confidence is the output, not the input. So if you don't have the confidence, how do you plan to have clarity in all these components before it, perceive value before you even do the thing? Expect to get what you get, but you don't. So imagine that there are two people. On this left-hand side, we have person A with $200 per month. They have 20 years at an 8% annualized return. Okay. So when we do the numbers of an annualized return, where our potential value, if we keep this number and at the rate, we're going to get at approximately 118,000 in approximate value. Again, we have two people, person A or scenario A, you could say. Somebody saves $200 per month. They have 20 years that they're doing it at an 8% annualized return, which is standard 8, 11%. Depends on where your money's going, where you put your money in. Approximately that becomes $118,000, give or take. Where it is. Now, you have in scenario B, we don't have the same amount like we've had in the other examples. We have $500 per month. Because now you're able to, when you change the last examples and you have somebody who's generating even more, but less expenses, they could be generating the same, just less expenses. So now you set aside, you have $500 per month for 20 years at the same 8% annualized return. In your potential run rate numbers too, That's an approximate amount of 295,000. A large difference from 295 to 118,000, isn't it? So, what is it? It's not that the difference is intelligence. The difference is consistent decisions over time that person took because they cared. Small decisions are compounding, like compound chicken. You like your compound chicken? I do. I choose an orange chicken over it. Anyway, that's neither here or there. But see how happy you get when you, oh, food, food. Yeah, oh, yeah. Why can't we make these same decisions when it comes to how we want to compound what we're getting? Because it's small decisions. You wouldn't be so happy if somebody only put a small amount of compound chicken, orange chicken, would you? You could. I'm watching what I eat. I'm not eating that food anymore. Okay, just a little. I want to fill another part of my tray with more. So you got to take away from somewhere to put more somewhere else. So again, approximately 295,000. So the difference in this isn't necessarily that they're intelligent or high IQ. The difference is they're consistent decisions over time, as mentioned. Small decisions that are compounding, just like money compounds. Retirement planning should not be looked at as something simply as you're putting money into an account. It's about understanding how all the pieces work together in that account, and those accounts, trade value, exchange, sell, buy rates. Where are you entering into a new market? Why? What are you selling to get into? All that stuff. And all that stuff takes pre-planning. Somebody just doesn't jump in it at a high level, at least. Like us, we don't. We don't just do that. It's strategy behind it. So it's about, again, understanding how all the pieces work together: income, cash flow, taxes, investments, business ownership, real estate, asset protection, risk management, long term decision making, and at the margin. So, what I've seen is that the reality with retirement planning, it becomes much something that you got to do earlier than retirement itself. It begins with your financial decisions that you make today. So, if other pieces of your financial literacy or parts are not there, it's like, why should I even think about retirement when I can't even make anything for today? Keep enough. But it's also reverse engineer your goal. Like if you want to get to retirement, you want this, that's why you need it. And reverse engineering the building blocks, deconstructing that backwards and say, what do I got to do present day value for future value returns? Let's look at. So either every decision and either or of whatever decision you make, it strengthens or your future options, or it can limit them. So making those appropriately at the right time and wisely, very helpful. So financial literacy matters so much because and result of a lot of this and what I've been sharing with you and what I've shown you on screen up until this point. The more financially educated we become, the more intentional we can be with those decisions. We don't have to overthink them. We don't have to let the subconscious mind overwrite our past belief about something, as we know what we're taking action on. So let's do that. So don't always go for perfection. Training makes better practice, better perfection. So the goal isn't for you to just throw everything on the board either. So the goal is for you to make progress, tiny wins that compound, small wins compound. And if it's not a win, making small habits, routines to get to that goal and those wins along the way. So the goal is for you not to know everything. What it should be more, though, on the goal is for you to understand and make better decisions over time. Small decisions repeated consistently over and over oftentimes creates exceptional, much more than that, extraordinary results in governance and results over decades. So when people begin thinking about retirement this way, they will usually discover a lot more about themselves and more about what they can do. Many realize that they have never really been taught how the overall financial system works. Like I said, and it's okay. I've been that person. When I finally like got my head down and I worked at it, wasn't from day one. Like I got to build this. And when I finally got to a place where I was so happy, things were all working well. It's like, oh man, I really need to keep doing what I'm doing more, and then I'll come back here and help educate you guys on this subject, because there was much more that I wanted to learn and apply before wanting to do something like this. So many haven't been taught about the financial system we have now and what your new financial system should be and looks like. They've learned the bits and the pieces to it here and there, like a little puzzle piece, a little bit about credit, personal and business credit, a little bit about debt, a little bit about investing, a little bit about taxes, a little bit about real estate. But very few people have ever been shown all the pieces together. And that's like a puzzle piece. Like if you put the wrong puzzle in the wrong one, it's like, well, why are there 4 pieces missing to this? Where's the rest of it? Oh, I got to get the upgrade. Oh, okay. So once I have that, okay. So, and that's where the 5th financial trap gets into. So now let me go over to my next one. Go over here. Nobody taught us how the pieces fit together. So as I continue to learn about money, I started noticing something interesting. Many people are not necessarily struggling due to them. Sometimes it's a lot of the times it's a lack of education, but it's not a lot of the times because they're lazy. They're lazy because they're not been shown in a systematic manner, in a way they would have to show up to be able to grow this. Most people are not struggling because they're unintelligent. Most people don't struggle because they don't work hard. If anything, everybody works hard. Work hard and smart. Work hard to work smart and smarter. Many people are struggling because nobody ever taught them how the financial system actually works. Think about everything we've got to up until this point. We've gone over in this presentation: income, cash flow, taxes, retirement, and more. Have you ever felt like you've learned pieces of money, but nobody showed you how they fit together? All of these things are connected. And as you can see here on the screen, we have an image of financial planning, the check marks. This is the journey everybody's on. Still check marks by age 30, 60. I kid you not. In the 80s, I've seen a lot of people who are still there and still unsure of the decisions they're making because they never unlearned. And to learn the right decision making and thinking process, that's the goal, is a thinking process, not always the result itself. It's the goal of the thinking behind what you're doing. So questions 10, 20, I'm in my young 30s now, early 30s, and I've already learned this for many years now. And there's still more for me to learn. So it's always a continuous learning process, and it's always an ever adapting thing that you keep doing and growing. So all of these things are connected. You see income on the left, cash flow, taxes, protection, investing, retirement. They all flow into one another in that way. And sometimes it's a different way. It's not always in that exact order. And so again, they're all connected. Yet most people, they learn them separately. They hear something about credit. Oh, but they don't ever get back to the other thing. Like, oh, cash flow. Oh, how about investing now? How about income then? Get more income so I can get more in credit. 10 years later, they hear something about investing. Then they hear something about retirement. Then they hear something about real estate. Then they hear something about taxes. Then they hear something about business ownership. Oh, I'm sweating. The information comes in pieces, and a lot of that in bite size, or if it's large pieces, it's like, now you don't remember that, or you don't even use that. Oh, now I'm off doing something else. But nobody explains how the pieces fit together. So from my own experiences, for years, I found myself learning different financial topics one at a time. Like I just mentioned, they're all scattered. It's like when you look at the sky and you see the star, like, oh, there's more over here though than there were here. Or why are there like 4 clouds over here? And now we have overcast. This bipolar weather we have in Washington State. It's been sunny lately. We'll go enjoy the weather later. Grateful and thankful. And that's how it is. All this financial planning and all the stuff we learn is all either it's commingled, we just don't learn it all. And when we learn it, it's like we never come back to that thing we learned, and let alone the next thing to let it go. So there's just so much that goes on, but you'd rather have something that you have in one place so you can always adapt. And if it gets updated or added to, or you see something that you can get better at and you challenge yourself in, hey, that's not the thing I wanted to do, but hey, at least I know if somebody else needs it, or if I ever plan to, maybe not now, but well, something changed my thought. Oh, this got added into my business. So, I can use that now. Oh, that just sparked creativity in my head. I'm going to go do that thing. That's the beauty of life and in business. So you always hear things like that in bite-sized pieces or in larger size pieces. And so I learned about business, then taxes, then investing, then cash flow, then real estate. Notice I didn't say cash flow was at the top, then real estate, then retirement planning, but nobody ever showed me how are those topics even connected to one another. I felt like connecting puzzle pieces without seeing the picture on the box. And it doesn't come with a lot of those don't come with instructions like that, which is cool too because you don't need one. Why? To take the fun out of it. It's like if Monopoly had instructions for you on how to like build wealth. It's your journey to building wealth. That's how you win the game. You win the game within yourself, playing a game within the game. And yeah, sure, you're strategizing based on like what somebody else did. Should I and what should I capitalize on most? How early? How later? Those are all the important things. Don't get me wrong on that. But it's not like you're looking at the box or like if I'm looking at like a book right here. All right. I got it. You're not reading the book or you're not doing what the book is telling you to do. What does it matter? And so the more I learned, the more I realized financial literacy wasn't about mastering one topic. It was about understanding how all the topics work together. And that's also where a lot of the confusion starts and ends. For example, you have debt that affects your cash flow in multiple ways. How you tranche cash flow, how you move it into the next part of the business expansion, next phase, etc. Cash flow affects investing. So backing up, debt affects your cash flow affects your investing and your strategy. Taxes affect wealth building. So before you had liquidity or you didn't have liquidity. Now you have taxes affecting your wealth building. Your retirement planning affects your investment decisions altogether. That's what's tying up everything before we got to that. Remember, we're here. We have retirement at the bottom. We have everything before that. Business ownership affects taxes. Your asset protection affects how much risk, your assets and liabilities. Real estate can affect the cash flow and long-term wealth. There's just so much more I can mention too on real estate alone, and I've helped a lot of people with, and I myself with real estate a lot. Everything is all connected. Think of it like this, and what you're seeing on the screen with income, cash flow, taxes, protection, investing, wealth, retirement, wealth and retirement, say it that way. When one of these areas improves, it often impacts the other. When one area breaks, it often impacts the others. It's almost like playing a video game. I don't know if you ever play like Link or Mario, whatever game it is, could be in any. Like you're moving up levels, and you're gonna go through like the green tube, and you have to come back and restart. But now you know what to do this time, or you got to go back because you forgot something, or can you go back so you can pick that up? Okay, do. Now, next level, final boss. Oh, that's not the final boss, though. There's more that you're doing after that. There's more you want to grow into. So it's a never-ending journey of just continuing to iterate yourself and doing more. So when one breaks down, it impacts the others. That's why financial literacy matters a lot. And I've been saying and bringing back that is financial literacy matters enormously. But most people never get shown the entire picture. Instead, they're trying to solve financial problems one piece at a time. It's like trying to complete a puzzle while only seeing a few pieces. You know something is missing, something is wrong. You just don't know what. Or you do. It's just like, what do I do now? Go backwards when you should have gone a little bit backwards. Don't go too far back, or go forward and then come back to this. Or don't come back and revisit this. Let's move forward with that. So you know something is missing. You just don't know what, or whatever the case may be when that happens. And that's why financial literacy is super important. Financial literacy isn't simply learning how to budget. It's not putting up a spreadsheet and saying, oh, I'll put my rows and columns here, and that's it. It's not simply learning about investing. It's not just to learn about debt. It is learning how money actually works across different areas of your life and how it functions. It's learning how decisions in one area can impact this altogether. And they can impact, first, it can impact one another, and then it affects the whole system altogether. It's also learning how to strategically think instead of reacting. Don't become reactive, become a strategized thinker, observer, so you're not reactive to these things. You're observing your emotions. So when you observe your emotions, you become more careful. The body follows because of the emotion that it's tied to in the body and the mind too. But our body follows first a lot, so then our mind does. Our mind tells our body what to do, sure, but how we react with the state of our emotion is tied to our body that then tells our mind. So when that isn't shaped in a way it should be, that's why all these decisions are scattered and are not made correctly or independently of, too large in time between each one, and so much more that happens. So think strategically, not reactively. Sometimes you do have to think reactively on your toes. I get that. So you don't have to do so much of that or limit it. None at all. Think strategically. Because when you understand how the system works, you'll start making better decisions overall. Not just financial decisions, but in many decisions in areas of life and business. I know that for a fact. It's happened to me. So you become more intentional, become much more emotionally controlled and available. You become much more confident. You become less dependent on just guesswork, hopelessness, not deliberate hope. And most importantly, you begin building a stronger foundation for you and your future and anybody else around you and who you want to pass this down to. Now, here's some of the things that I want to mention again. I know I've said this, but I want you to be understanding of it. The good news is you don't have to be an expert in everything. You don't have to be an attorney or become one. You don't have to be a CPA. You don't have to become a financial planner, bookkeeper. You simply just need a framework. That's it. Framework that comes with strategy and tactics, the right lessons learned, expertise taught, helpful information that you can act on, a roadmap, a way to organize what you're learning. Because when you have a roadmap, everything becomes easier to understand. And that's exactly why I want to share what is next with you. And for the simple framework that completely changed how I think about financial literacy. Okay, we have a simple financial roadmap, numbers 1 through 6. Starting with number 1 is improve cash flow, eliminate bad debt, build emergency savings, protect assets, invest consistently, and build long-term wealth. You see on the image, it says big journeys begin with small steps. And there are 4 parts to this that I'm going to go over, and subsets to each 4 of these, with the first one being the foundation. It's kind of like a home, what it's built on, the foundation, and having the right structuring, insulation, drywall, HVAC unit for cooling and heating, having a place of comfort and that you can have a peace of mind and come to and feel like you can be yourself at the highest of highs. And so we have the foundation as the first layer to this. The second one we have is protection. So you have the foundation, now you have the protection parts above it. The structuring, making sure it is solid, it won't break, tear down, and easily. Number 3 you have is growth. Now think of that like you're growing the inside, you're putting the couches, you're putting things together in the kitchen, the beds, you are bringing people in, you are starting a family, you're supplying them with housing, food, and plenty more. And then the fourth part to this is wealth. And now that you've been situated, you've been on this journey of growth upwards, you're building wealth and long term wealth, not just short term. So, in terms of the foundation, what the house is set on, what the foundation is on, where all of this is being built from the bottom up, you have number one being cash flow. As you see on the screen, being number one, improved cash flow. So the foundation to this, again, it's cash flow. Number two, you have is debt. Number three, I would say, is credit. Number four, budgeting. And number five, under foundation, it is financial awareness. To the second one we go. Again, we're going over the four, which are foundation, protection, growth, and wealth. So in the protection layer, layer two, let's call it, layer one is foundation, layer two is protection. Now here is again where we have the structure. We're able to be inside of a lovely home. Nobody from the outside can see us in unless it's through windows or another form. And we're protected against storms, high wind gusts, lightning, thunder, rainfall, a lot of different elements. You can even say the heat when it gets so hot. So you have that protection, and underneath that is tax awareness. You have asset protection. I would say add in their insurance, business entities. It can mean a lot of different safety and securities. You could have different policies and so much more that you're protecting against the elements. So you have the foundation, you have the protection, the layering, and everything that's protecting against these wind gusts, storms, many different elements, and you're protecting that. Number three, we have its growth. In growth, I would say it's investing. So we haven't gotten to the investing part because we need to build our foundation first. Then we need to go into protection. Now, after we've seen that and what it looks like and go through, now we're in growth mode. Under growth mode, then we get into investing. All sorts of investments. You have the S&P 500, you have weekly trades, you have crypto in Bitcoin, you have gold, silver, copper, security, bonds, equities. There are so many more things that I can draw up in what you're investing in. And so investing is one piece, and that can also mean investing in yourself. When I say growth, I don't just mean growth in terms of the business you want to start and or have, or just growing your investment portfolio, excuse me. It's in growing yourself. So when you look at each one of these layerings with foundation, protection, growth, and we'll get to wealth here in a moment, is you're looking at yourself as being the foundation. What are you setting? What are the standards? What is the discipline you'd like to have and want? If you don't have it yet, who can you see yourself becoming and identifying yourself as? And a lot of the times we see something and we've done it and we've experienced so much that that's what it has to be. Even when it isn't right, or you know you should be doing something different because it's so easy to get comfortable and do what everyone else is or what you've been doing for a very long time and getting set in those routines and those habits. So the foundation is in you and setting yourself internally, not all externally. It's internally the foundation you're setting in the example. Number two, you're protecting yourself against those elements on the outside. Anything and anyone who comes in and tries to say here and that and try to break you down or have you think differently. You have growth in yourself. You're seeing that growth because you've been putting in the energy and time to see yourself mature and get better, not just in your finances, in yourself as a person, in the mind, and strengthening the mind. That's true growth, personal growth and development, self-mastery. And it's a journey. And like it says here on the image, as you can see again, big journeys begin with small steps. And like this road here, you have, whether you were walking down it, driving, let's say, for example, you were walking down and you look to your left, you see what you see there on the image. You look to your right, oh, there's some more land availability. There are some things they're putting together with agriculture. I see some tomatoes over there, apple trees. Oh, cucumbers. Nice. So all of that that's being harvested and has been harvested is what you look at. And over time, when things spurt out of the ground, out of a tree, and out of its roots, and it takes time. It takes many months, more or less, depending on the type of product and the process, and cleaning it out and seeing its purity and doing that along the way before you put it out into the market, before you have it in the back of a truck driven down the bottom of the road to be then sent somewhere else into a facility, unless it was right next door. And again, it depends on that product, but you're a byproduct of the product and what you're able to build. And so when you look at that, it's kind of like when I go to the store and I walk around. And at times, if you've done this, you walk around and you know you're going to the plant section. I like going to see all the different agricultural food products that I can have access to and be able to see which ones to pick up and which ones uh, to plant for what to grow. If you're putting, if you're getting cucumbers, if you're getting an assortment of different food products, and you're planting that, and you have somewhere in your backyard, in the front and or backyard, or somewhere else you have to go to where you can plant these and see them grow, nourishing and growing. So undergrowth, again, you have is investing, real estate, business ownership, additional income streams, and not putting your eggs all in one basket. Sure, you can and focus on that one and then build into another one. Don't quickly build another when the first one hasn't been built, or you're building it together at the same time, but you're unfocused on where you should be. You have this there, here, there, a little bit everywhere, and just everything's going all over the place. So in growth, the same thing, additional income streams, you're focusing on yourself and your growth, and you're getting even to higher levels from there. The fourth one you have is wealth, which is retirement planning, long-term cash flow, not just improving, starting and improving, attaining cash flow. It's having longer-term cash flow. Then you have financial independence. Then at our fourth underneath our wealth, I would say is legacy. And legacy looks different to each individual, each group. And you may not think of that and say, well, I'm not building a legacy. I don't believe in one. Fine, that's cool. Each to their own and their perspective. And so it can mean many things in what you're passing down generations after generations, what they're able to, because you started something or you continued it and you didn't look down on it and you kept building yourself along the way in your journey. So those are the four that I wanted to go over, which are, again, you have your foundation, you have your protection, you have your growth, and then you have your wealth. And a lot of people, they skip the foundation. Protection matters immensely. Growth matters just as much, if not more. And wealth building, remember, it's a process. It's not something from day one. It's big journeys begin with, yes, small steps. So after years of studying money, business, cash flow, investing, financial literacy, and talking with people from many different backgrounds, I eventually realized something. Most people are trying to build wealth without first building their foundation. And again, this ties back to those four that we were going over, with foundation being the first layer one. So if I asked you this question, would you be able to and easily be able to answer it? How many people want passive income before mastering cash flow? You'd likely think many, a lot. Which is true, is people want to get to this part where you want cash to cash returns out of property, longer term cash flow, holding on to a property. It could be things online like tools you recommended to someone, they signed up with you under you, and as long as they keep the subscription, you're getting an X percentage, and that's recurring passive income, not just reoccurring that someone who needs more inventory because they've been a recent buyer from you and you have contracts with them, you have suppliers and vendors and suppliers that you know for sure they're going to buy again after the next 30, 60-day cycle, or how you cycle through your inventory and then what your needs are then. Not just that, but it's something that it's recurring, it's sticky, meaning they'll stick around. They'll want to use that. The lifetime value is high enough, and it's a recurring subscription, so they don't have to think about taking their card out again and making payment for it. So, like I said, things with online tools, you have CRMs, software, email marketing tools. It could be being in a group, getting access to ongoing support, uh, website builder, funnel builder, training. It could be many things. So a lot of people, again, they want that passive income before they at least understand, let alone mastering the cash flow side of the equation. And this is why I have things around cash flow that I've created in terms of products, because it's about understanding, getting up to that level, and the critical thinking behind it, not just putting things on paper and saying, well, my income goal is to get to this. Yes. And then you can reverse engineer from there and what it would take, the amount of signups, activation, retention rate, rate of return, all this stuff. But it comes down to understanding like what I would have to do in each scenario with the cash flow and even more. So to answer that, and as saying uh, the majority, most, a lot, is almost everyone. They're chasing the final step before mastering the first step. They're focused on the investment, the rental property, the business, the passive income, the retirement account, the wealth. But they often skip the foundation that supports everything else. Again, like we're putting a home together and we want to make sure everything's set right and the foundation is, and what's on top of it, what's being built, the site architectural blueprint, making sure everything is done correctly, the permits have been issued, or how long it takes to get the permits, and what window and what time frame you have. So having that makes most sense, but most people, they skip out on the foundation that supports everything else. That's why I like to think about financial literacy using a very simple roadmap. Again, you have the foundation, protection, growth, and wealth. Everything starts with the foundation. Foundation is where you find real financial confidence when you start learning about it in this form. So you have things like I've said before, cash flow, you have spending habits, those patterns, those routines, the debt, the credit that then follows, you have your budgeting, then you have financial awareness. On top of that, I would say you have basic money management. We're not speaking in advanced money management and that you have to be the CFO, this underwriter, attorney, bookkeeper, CPA, and so forth. Without a strong foundation, every future financial decision just becomes much harder because you start building out everything. You start looking for every exit. And to every entrance, you find an exit. The same way you walked in is the way you walk out, or there could be multiple ways in and out. So you just have to understand what you're walking into. What you'll see visually, what you had in mind may look different than what you should actually piece together. So once the foundation is built, then the next step is protection. Protection, as I mentioned, those are things like tax awareness, asset protection, insurance, business entities, risk management, protecting what you worked hard to build. And I'm sure you worked hard to build what you have, or on your journey to, and or building more. And you just want to lessen that in ways that it makes your journey much more enjoyable, less friction and resistance to get to there, than having to always try to figure that out and piece everything together one by one. And so again, we have with protection, many people spend years building assets and have different asset classes, but have very little time put into learning how to protect them. Protection matters, and it should matter to you as it does to me and others, because Wealth is not only about creating, it's about preserving, knowing your harvesting times. And if you don't, learning it and applying it and setting out on this journey, you're walking down a road and seeing what's around you when you need to protect. Growth is just taking a simple walk down and clearing your mind and seeing the creativity that comes to your mind by doing that. So, again, it's also about preserving what you have and keeping what you have. After protection, then comes growth. Growth includes things such as increasing your income, building businesses, investing, real estate, expanding on your opportunities, and creating, not just improving, but creating additional cash flow that doesn't exist yet. It could be through a new revenue driving stream, a core revenue stream, it could be an existing one. But creating additional cash flow is going to take you to another level. And that doesn't always mean opening up another income stream to create that additional cash flow. And it can mean that altogether. So, this is often the stage that most people get excited about. And I remember being there in growth mode, is thinking like that is, well, oh, this sounds very cool. And how nice is it that I can do something that's going to help me grow? Now, what is that? What does it look like? But very rarely are we asking ourselves, what do I need to do to grow? What do I need to do? Who do I need to become to be the person that needs to grow their financial awareness, to grow in all areas? That is growth and those before it. So, and after too. So, you have growth with increasing income again, you have building businesses again, you have investing, real estate, expanding on opportunities. It can be new opportunities, creating additional cash flow, existing and new cash flow. So I just wanted to go over that again so you have that. And again, it's often the stage that people get most excited about. It's like that feeling of your first date, first relationship, or next one, and get all giggity inside, giddy inside, and you're up for it. You're anxious, maybe nervous, shy. Then when you're in it, everything just is naturally going, and you don't have to force it. You can see that you can be yourself. Maybe not yourself 100% yet that first date, or it can feel that way. But you're maturing and you're growing and you're seeing yourself in what situations you are in and what's going on. And growth becomes much more effective when it sits on top of a strong foundation and a proper protection with the proper protection. It's not just saying, let's just grow, but we haven't put the foundation together and we haven't let it set so then we can build what we need to on top of it. Finally, you have wealth. Wealth is where everything starts working together. It's not just a number. Wealth is your freedom. Think about wealth as more than just that. It's wealth is in growth. Wealth is in, yes, freedom too, and wealth. So it's those three: growth, wealth, and freedom. You have options, you have versatility, flexibility to make different decisions because things have opened up for you. You have the confidence, you have the long term stability, you have a legacy. And again, that word legacy, if it doesn't mean that you are actually aligned with the word legacy, that's okay. Everyone's different, and what you want to leave behind and what people would remember you for and as. Hey, that's John, that's Sally who understood the foundation and they built something for us. They left us behind when we're many years gone. And we're not here in the physical sense. And we have something we could pass down. And we've built something and we've made a name. Just in terms of what we pieced here and understanding financial literacy and many more things. And then also you have control over your energy and time. Not just your time, which is what you would hear from people, control your time, control your energy and time with matter and what you get out of energy through matter. And it's the emotional depth, how our physical body feels it before even the mind does in many cases. And the mind's observing the body and the reaction of how the physical state is. And so we've been set with these emotions because of these experiences and what people have said upon us. They may not be true or best to take and inherit and learn. And That's what the situation was with me. Is I didn't grow into a family where they were entrepreneurs. My parents were or business owners. It didn't come from that. I saw it around me with friends growing up with their parents' family. Not all of them, but that didn't get me to think, let me start a business then. It was only over time that I understood the system and what I needed to build and controlling your time and setting that aside and reserving that. Because as you grow, you'll understand how important and valuable your energy and your time is and not to give it to everyone. Many people think wealth is where the journey starts. In reality, wealth is often the result of years of better decision making and decisions made consistently over time. So you have your decision making, then of course you make your decision. And when you make them over time, it gets much more smoother and like a fine wine aging, and you have all of this pieced together. And the reason I share this roadmap with you is because it gives you and people a way to organize what they're learning. It most definitely did that to me. And I wish I had something like this if somebody were sharing it with me. It would be like, finally, now I know what I have and what I should do and what I should organize and piece together for what I'm doing and the puzzle pieces. You remember putting the puzzle together. You have multiple puzzle pieces and not giving up on yourself because it doesn't fit or it's on the wrong box. It's inside the wrong one. Oh, I picked up a larger one. I think I'm going to stick to the small one and start with that first. And if that's what it means, that's what it means. It's making small improvements to get something larger down the road and having a compound. So you begin seeing things this way, and it gives people a way to organize what they're learning and for you to have it in that form instead of random financial information that is scattered everywhere. If you've seen that, you begin seeing how pieces fit together. You begin understanding where you are. You begin identifying what you should learn next. And most importantly, you stop feeling overwhelmed. You start looking at this as the whole theater concept. And when you walk, you likely did your decision making before you got to the theater. Or nowadays, because of we have a lot of the online streaming services and you can watch your show, a movie, and more. And so before we get to the movie theater, we know what we want to watch, or we arrive there spontaneously, see what's available. We're all constricted by what's available, and we can watch. It's like going to a restaurant. You can choose the restaurant you want, and you're also limited, though, by what's on the menu. If you want something, you'd have to go to another restaurant, very likely, unless you ask for it and they have it somewhere sitting in the back. And just for you, it's for the employees, and they just happen to have it that day, so they'll also share it with you. And so you go there and you get your popcorn and you put the butter on it, and that's again something that I love doing is uh, beforehand going anywhere is seeing what we'll see or what the activities will be like and buttering up the popcorn as much as you like, not that I do that so much anymore, and then walking in to where you'll watch your movie, and you have an exit point. You have your entrance, you have your exit point, and you walk out likely the same way you walked in, or there'll be a couple of exits and entrances. And I walk up to the very top. I like sitting at the very top in the middle seat. And if I don't get that, I'll find somewhere in the middle to sit. And then you go down to the very bottom. I've had a few occurrences where I sit there at the very bottom and I'm looking up. I don't know if you've ever had that experience. And there's so many seats in the front. Others don't have so many, and you got to look up, and now your neck is almost hurting by looking up so much because you were late. You made that decision late. You showed up late. And if you're okay with sitting in the front seats, then you are. I'm not saying it's always a downside thing or something to look down on, but you're putting the pieces together and you're understanding what you do want and you don't for the next time. And when you show up, and you're going to show up better. And it's almost like this game you're playing with yourself and seeing, can I be better? I'm playing these board games and it's my way to win. And what I see as a win is different for someone else. And you're playing the game of Monopoly. What you're capturing in real estate is different than someone else. And your end goal is different. Your plan is different than someone else. So you begin seeing how the pieces fit together. You begin understanding where you are. You begin identifying what you should learn next. And you don't get complacent. You don't get incomplacent in these places because you know the journey you're on. You've seen it before. You've experienced this, so you continue. And most importantly, you stop feeling overwhelmed. Information overload, confused, stressed. The overwhelm doesn't even appear at that stage. Because with financial literacy, it's not about learning everything at once. So don't feel like you have to learn everything and what we've gone through today up until this point, and then the simple financial roadmap, and then the four that I mentioned with the foundation. You have the protection, the growth, and the wealth, and the subset to each one of those categories and what's underneath them. And it's just growing into them over time. And again, it's not about learning everything at once. It's about learning the right things in the right order, as I've discussed in this slide, everything that I've said before and everything that I will continue with after this slide. And we're getting near the end. And that's exactly why I want to briefly share a resource that's helped organize many of these topics into one place for me, and as it has for many others. Here you can see it says Financial Literacy Academy. You have debt elimination, tax strategies, retirement planning, asset protection, business education, real estate education, financial literacy training, a structured place to continue learning these topics. On the right, the image there with the financial education in that piggy bank that if you had this, I had it too, where I would always put things into a piggy bank. It's not so much a piggy bank anymore, but it's our own bank of life. What we're depositing, it's not just monetarily speaking what we're putting in, it's our own deposits. Where are we putting our deposits into to grow as an individual, as well as with our finances? And so we're putting those in there. I remember having, we would go to like these swap meets in California where I was born. And when we visited Mexico every now and then, if it was El Salvador, only been there one time, may go there again soon. We'll see. I was very young when I went there at the age of 8 or so. Yeah. But we would get these piggy banks and they look so authentic. And somebody created it with care, that somebody was looking after someone, that they can take care of their money. And the way that it was created, and the ceramics and everything that went into it, and the touch and the feel to it, just having that in our hand was a lot. Like, hey, we're going to do something with this. We're not just going to have it sitting there. So it's very cool to have something like that to look at. And a lot of this is just to see, well, why does this exist? Why does financial education matter? Why learning it all in one place is super valuable and at an expert high level, and the expertise that is there. And like I've mentioned, on these topics, you have debt elimination, tax strategies, retirement planning, you have asset protection, business education, real estate education, financial literacy training, business entities, property management, additional financial educational topics, and have an enormous resource, everything in one place, the expertise, and learning it from others who have been there, done that. So as we've discussed throughout this workshop, financial literacy isn't just one topic. It's not only investing in you and investing in real estate, crypto, many different areas, and a lot of these can be synonymous because of blockchain technology and AI, which is another field that I've been in for some time. With blockchain technology, tokenization, crypto, stable coins, and those. And I have projects in these spaces. So it's not only about investing in the actual side of investing for real world assets and all these things, it's investing in yourself. And remember when I said growth, it's in yourself that you have to place the investment in. It's not only budgeting. Because when you set a budget, it's one thing. And when you grow as a person, you'll see the opportunity cost, the sunk cost. You'll understand what you're letting go to have. And that can mean a lot of things with like, hey, I got to let go of those thoughts with my family members and how they taught me, because I'm on a different path that they can't educate me on at this stage. That I shouldn't just keep learning from them and take pieces from them. Sure, you learned how to be the person you are and be caring to others, be kind, nice, respectful, trustworthy, honorable, and more. So it's not only just budgeting, it's not only retirement planning, it's not only taxes, it's not only real estate. It's understanding how all of the pieces fit together at a high level. And one of the challenges I had that I have seen in many people that they face today, they faced in the past, they will face in the future, is that information is everywhere. You can find YouTube videos, different streaming networks, channels, forms of videos, podcasts, books, digital, audiobooks, physical books, articles, blog posts, social media content, people posting in social media posts, groups, forums, in comments of videos, and in so many places. It's crazy how much access we have to information these days. We can do a simple search on a place like Google and get an AI type result and or somewhere else. How credible and backed up is that? How much in additional pieces of information do you need to align this all together and to do what you need to do? Because it's customized to you. So you have everything. You have the gurus, the influencers, which I'm not that. I'm an everyday person like the majority. And it's about growing into things. And while there's certainly value in those resources, the information is often scattered. Is it most up to date? Is it outdated? It can be. Who are you getting that information and advice from? Who are you actually learning from? Can you have a peace of mind and full certainty and gain confidence out of it? Not a lot of times. So we try to piece everything from one person to the next. Who do we learn from this one person? Is it building it in stages and lessons and modules, one video, one piece of content after the next? Can you apply it correctly? It's applied incorrectly. It wasn't fitted for your needs. Oh, if I would have looked at this other strategy, I would have done that instead. People learn a little here, a little there, then something somewhere else. Again, people will learn a little here, a little there, then something somewhere else. It's like I was turning it into a song or something. And eventually, like myself, and you might have gone through this already yourself, and I see it in many people, they find themselves involved, they find themselves with information and a lot of it, but there's no clear structure around that information or where you're consuming it, how you're getting the information, and how you'll apply it. And being most up to date, transparent, people you're learning from have your best interest at heart, and so forth. That's one of the reasons I became involved with the Financial Literacy Academy. When I first found it, what stood out to me, it wasn't another opportunity. It was a new vehicle for change. It was something that information wasn't scattered. Everything was where I needed it all in one place. It was convenient, ease of use, ease of access, fast. It was the education overall and the experience you get out of it. What I appreciate about it is that it puts many important financial topics into one place, like I mentioned. Instead of spending years jumping between YouTube videos, many streaming services, books, podcasts, articles, blog posts, forums, friends and family and others and events and all this stuff and random information online, people can follow a more structured learning path that's designed to help you consume it in the most efficient and productive way possible and be able to apply it and still have energy and time left over for other parts and areas of your life that you'd like to have and be able to take time away. Oh, now that I've learned this and I've applied it differently and better, I can go take some time away for myself, go on that walk, go on that vacation, spend a little more time at the grocery store, feel confident in what you're buying and what you're doing for your future self as well as others. And it doesn't mean it's the only resource available. It simply means the information is organized in a way that helps people connect the dots faster. And for many people, that's where real confidence begins because it brings many of these topics together into one educational platform. and learning more than what you would have found just looking anywhere and everywhere. Instead of trying to piece together everything yourself and everything together for yourself, the goal is to provide structural financial education that helps you, many others, myself, better understand how money works and how it flows and what it should be flowing into. So, inside of something like this, as in within the Financial Literacy Academy and ecosystem and education environment, it's kind of like in school. Like if you were choosy going to college, if you had that opportunity, or even if you didn't go to college, you can apply this to your work and work-life balance. Is you want to go to a trade school or a specific place to learn a specific skill, that's what you wanted to do. So you were choosy. Who's the top? Who can I select from that's realistically I can get into from this list? You took a campus tour and you looked around the area, students going to class, walking in and out. You see professors, or you didn't know if they were professors. And you walk into different buildings, you see different places in the campus, you see the sports center, building, business center, engineering. You see all of this open and wide and available. And then you look at the food court, like, that's what drew me in. And it drew me in was the food court. And wow, they have that much availability and for me to select from, and all I have to do is use my card, be able to do this to go in. But you have to get an education too on how to use it. And when you go to each building, you're taking, before you take your classes, you're learning where you're going to walk into and what's around it, what's nearby it, and all of this. So within this ecosystem, within the Financial Literacy Academy, you have educational topics covering things like debt elimination, financial foundations, cash flow concepts. And remember the four: foundation, protection, growth, and wealth. And that's what you'll be able to get out of it. You have, again, for the foundation, being debt elimination, financial foundations, cash flow concepts. Protection, you'll find education covering things such as tax strategies, asset protection, business entities. Growth, things such as rental property cash flow, fix and flips, property management, business topics, different investment channels, routes, vehicles. And there's so much more. I just listed a few subsets of each one of these four. Oh, and one more. With wealth, you have topics covered, things like retirement planning, long-term wealth building, financial decision making. And again, like I just said, is you have much more that's being covered in each four of these. One of the things that I appreciate the most, or one of the larger, higher things that I see in it, is many of the modules lessons are taught by professionals who have spent a lot of time, even many years, decades in their field and fields. And for learning from somebody who is a world famous attorney, CPA, and best-selling author. So how cool is it to learn from someone who's been through it, who educate others, who understands what you should be doing, and learning it from somebody who's an expert, and having a peace of mind that what you're applying can work and is doable. So what I like the most too is that it doesn't focus on hype. It's not hype. It's not super hyperbolic speed hype. The focus is on education. The goal is to help you, myself, and many others become more informed, not just informed in gathering information, more informed about the right information, become more confident, and become better equipped to make financial decisions throughout your life. When you improve your financial literacy, you improve your ability to make decisions. You increase your resource, you increase your capacity, your bucket that you're able to pour water into without any leaks. You're replacing the ones that have leaks. You're not just putting a temporary band-aid or tape underneath or wherever the water will pour out. You're getting a new bucket that looks nice and shiny. When you keep using it, it still looks shiny. You can see your reflection off of it. You're so inspired, you get another one even ahead of time. And then another one you set aside for when you're ready. And better decisions, they oftentimes lead to better outcomes. When you're an employee, whether you're an employee, a business owner, a future retiree, an investor, or simply someone who wants greater financial confidence and awareness. And I would say greater financial awareness and confidence in that way. Financial education is one of the few investments that can benefit nearly every area of life, not just in business. It's a life trait that you take on. It's a new character and characteristic trait that you develop into. And who you surround yourself with is you want to be around winners. You want to be around people who have the right character and characteristic traits, and people who want to be around freedom, growth, and wealth. Now, with that said, I do want to leave you with one final thought. What area would you like to improve first? Is it cash flow, debt, taxes, retirement, wealth building, business growth? There are others too. Which one of those six would you like, in fact, love to start with? And there's an order, obviously, to things as we went through with the roadmap in the different parts we covered and everything we've mentioned up until this point. And there could be something that you have a strength in, and we just work more on your strength. Could be a weakness that we want to fine tune. We want to start there and grow and start in a proper order. If today's workshop resonated with you and you'd like to continue learning, feel free to reach out to me. And I'd be more than happy to answer any questions, comments, and concerns you have and share additional information. I'm here to support you. And very nice, kind person. Again, very quiet, introverted type. I go about my things and being sure that you are in a better place and how you're progressing. That's very important to me. And understanding what you want to do and where you want to get to. So, as we're wrapping this up, I want to leave you with this other final thought. Most people are not struggling financially because they lack intelligence. Most people are not struggling financially because they lack work ethic. If anything, we work hard. And I see a lot of hardworking citizens that are just getting by or have enough, but they're not putting it in the right place in the right buckets. Many people, and most people, are not struggling financially because they don't care. Or there is that group that just doesn't care, is I've been put here and this is all I will get and why me, and playing the blame game and the excuse game that they're there because someone else put them there. Not saying that's not the case a lot of times, but it's for you to get out of that mindset and those beliefs and aligning with others who want to raise your temperature high to a level that you can ascend much higher than you would have ever imagined. Because being on this journey, I've had my transformations, my achievements, I've had my ups and downs trying to figure out who to learn from, who to gather information from, things that were scattered, outdated. Why am I learning from them? And this wouldn't apply to what I want to do and how I want to grow in the different topics. And there's just so much more that goes on. So you should care and largely about this. And it's something too that you can pass down and in educating others with too. Show them how much care there is in this. And they see that, oh, they care about themselves too. By learning and showing this, they care a lot about themselves. They must. Many people are struggling because they never were taught how money actually works. So, as we mentioned before, most people are not struggling for the reasons we went to and I went over. Many people are struggling because they were never taught how money actually works and how it flows and what they should do with what they have, how to create more. They were taught how to earn income, but not necessarily how to manage it. They were taught how to work, but not necessarily how to build wealth. They were taught how to get a job, but not necessarily how to create a financial roadmap. And this is all why financial literacy matters. Not because financial literacy solves every problem. It could, doesn't have to, but because financial literacy helps us make better decisions in our critical thinking. Remember what I've said up until this point. It's in the critical thinking that'll help you make better decisions. Better decisions about what, though? About cash flow, debt, taxes, retirement, business, real estate, investing, wealth building. The goal isn't for you to have perfection. Practice can make perfect. Practice makes greatness. Practice makes something exceptional. And if you don't show up to practice, it's like when I was playing soccer, I would have not learned how to dribble, kick the ball, and with my left and right foot, and what to do in each situation. And when you go through the experience, you may not have done that you learned in practice, or you should have learned something different. I didn't apply it, but next time I will. And taking it upon yourself and practicing. And that's for every area and walk of life of what you're doing to practice. And the goal isn't to know everything. The goal isn't to become an expert and an expert overnight. The goal isn't simply becoming, excuse me, the goal for this is to simply become more informed than you were yesterday and better informed. Because every important improvement in financial literacy for you and I and many others has the potential to improve the decisions you make tomorrow. What you've done in the past is the past. What you do today can help and affect tomorrow and what you're doing in the future. And if you can shorten that time to figure out what you needed to do so you wouldn't do what you keep doing, wouldn't that be helpful? So now you're on this path much faster instead of going over and over again backwards and hitting these road bumps, finding the cookie cutter ways when you should have taken the alternative route, even if it would have taken you a little bit more time, but that's the route you should have been on the whole time. And over time, those decisions, they compound. Just like money compounds. Just like compound chicken. Okay. It's kind of like when you go and get your orange chicken, you want compound chicken or orange chicken, and you're filling the tray and you can't overflow it, can't put everything on it. So you have to be selective and what your opportunity cost is. But man, does that sound good, that compound chicken? Or do I take the orange chicken? Can I have both? Sometimes you can, other times you can't. And I got to fill other parts of my tray that I would rather have than have this. And it's so delightful. It's something you want access to, or it could be any type of food, but it's compounding. You're adding small wins, another scoop of it, or you come back and get more. You earn that, come back and get more over and over. And again, over time, those decisions, they compound, just like money compounds. Small improvements made consistently and over time, because discipline will help you stay consistent, can create meaningful results over years and decades. That last, and not just last, they're meaningful. Again, they can create meaningful results over years and decades. So if there was one thing I hope you take away from today's workshop, it is this. Financial literacy, it's not a luxury. Sure, you can look at it like that, and it's a status thing to you, and getting approved and the recognition from others. But don't look at it like that. Look at it as you're recognizing yourself. It's not something externally to put out there like, hey, if I buy into this, it's going to be a necklace or a watch, and I feel so luxurious in your outfit or a luxurious outing and event. And then you go back to the same old. Or you go on a vacation, a luxury vacation you save so much for, or someone else spent on, you put a portion of it or whatever it is. Now you go back to your same old life. I want more of that, but I want that feeling that I can sustain it, not just because I go on vacation, not because I'm splurging on something internally. And it's what's attractive. It's the internal. It's a life skill, something you build. And like any skill, if you don't continue it, it can fade away, can deteriorate. So people have natural talents. They have the work ethics. They have the skills. but they build into the skills. And you would never know unless you put yourself in a situation. And you might know that, well, I'm limited to become a swimmer. I'm limited to become a marathon runner. You're better at short distances. Your height is better for basketball. Can't get a low center of gravity. You don't have much more power in your legs. You have more upper body strength. Your environment a lot of the times tells you what your areas of skill sets will be in. But unless you become that person, you see the person who's bodybuilding or in the gym so much, like they're just genetically gifted. They may be, but they still had to work to get what they have. And you'll never know unless you do it, unless you have discipline, unless you set aside the time of what you'll eat, what you'll have during several times, if that means for a better tomorrow and more improvement. So it's a life skill. And the earlier we begin learning it, the more opportunities we create for ourselves and the people we care about. So I'd like to say I'm very grateful and thankful for you. Thank you for being here and spending this energy and time with me today. I sincerely, genuinely appreciate you. I appreciate it. And I do hope this workshop gave you a few ideas, perspectives, and concepts that help you think differently about your financial future. There's no right or wrong answer. It just is. Sometimes, like what we deem to be good and bad, good or bad, right or wrong, it just is. It's what we create out of it and what the experience is. I'm not saying it's not always right or wrong, that's not true, but it's what we put into something. The important thing is identifying where you are today and taking your next step forward. Financial literacy isn't about being perfect, like I've said before. It's about making better decisions over time, things that will compound. If you're watching this on YouTube, another streaming network service, you'll find a link below to join my financial literacy and growth hub, business growth, personal growth hub community. That'll be, again, a link that I have down below. If there's a description or if it's not there and there's a way to access it underneath it, or if I have something else and I've changed it, but look underneath it, this video. If you're already inside the community and this is where you are watching this from, you can send me a message. So send me a message or leave me a comment on this post and let me know what stood out most from today's workshop and what area are you focused on improving most. And you can too, if you're in the comments on YouTube, let me know that. And if there's a description part of this in the group that you see, read that too. In the comments, if there's anything already there, look in the body of this post where you're watching this video from and see what's there, if anything. So I'd really love to hear from you and see your thoughts on what I just asked. What stood out most from today's workshop and what area you're focused on improving? And it could be anything that you learned today that you'd like to say on top of that, either or. If today's workshop resonated with you and you'd like to continue learning, feel free to send me a message. I'm here to support you, genuinely. I'd be happy to answer any questions, comments, or concerns, learn more about your situation, your goals, and more, and share additional information about all of this. And within, too, the Financial Literacy Academy to see whether it may be a fit for your goals. Either way, keep learning, keep asking questions, keep investing in yourself, because with financial education, it's one of the few investments that can continue paying dividends for the rest of your life. So with that, again, I'd like to say thank you for your energy and time. And I look forward to connecting with you. Thank you, and talk to you soon.